Bum, bum, bum. Well, if that doesn't get you in a Trek mood, I can't help you. I love that. Thanks again to the greatest first officer in the fleet, my wonderful dear friend and Commander Raquel Briggs, for that amazing intro, and also thanks to the great Mark D with a C for helping us, the technical side of that for us. So, thank you, number one, for that. I love it, I can't get enough of it.
I don't know what happened from my Mac to PC, but I'm very happy that Mark worked that out for you.
He is an engineer. He's our Scotty.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff. I'm glad you enjoyed the video, and it's my pleasure to make it for you.
Just love it. Welcome everyone to Saturday Night Star Trek, the end of one era last week, the beginning of a new one, but all in the same 735 mission to review, talk about all of real Star Trek. And that is, of course, 1966. As Raquel does like to say, technically 64, but we go 66 through 2005. That is, of course, original series, which we've just had a wonderful time doing over the past 20 weeks. Now we're about to start the animated series. After that, we'll do the original crew films. We will do, of course, TNG, DS9, Voy, and Ent. Only real Trek here, folks, except no substitutes. And I want to thank you all for popping in. We're going to I'll do a few quick show notes, and then we'll say our hellos, and then we'll get down to biz. How about that, number one?
Let's do it.
Because I'm so happy to see you all here tonight. Again, I will talk about the show. We'll get into what we're thinking about, what's going on with the show, and all that stuff. But first, quick show notes here. This Monday night on Clobberin Times, as you know, well, for some of you may have guessed, Clobberin Times may mean we're kind of sort of a not just a Star Trek channel, but a comics channel as well. I know. What was the giveaway? What I say. And that's why I do my comic book show is on Monday nights. It's named after our dear departed wonderful friend who's done many comic shows with me before. He sadly passed, the great Mark C. So it will be forever Clobberin Times Mark C. Comics Talk. Yes. And this Monday night, this will be the second wave of the Clobberin Times Mark C. Comics Creator Hall of Fame. He and I both loved comic books, comic book art and creation, writers. We both love comics. He loved comic history as I did, so I named it after him, of course. Easy decision. And we inducted the first 10 members of that Hall of Fame a couple of months back, and now for the second wave, who will they be? What will who will the next 10 legends be? Those pictures all over, the question marks all over that ridiculous looking poster for the show will, if you can call it that, would give clues to some. I know some could get it, some will not. I know Phantom Outsider could probably work it out, but that's okay. We're not going to do a contest or anything. I should do a contest, but no. Anyway, that is Monday night, and I just wanted to do that little show note before we get a move on here. Are you ready to start doing some hellos, number one?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. And if I miss anyone, please shout out. But let's see. All right, here we go. The great Steve Mitchum is here. Yo, brother.
Steve.
Hey, buddy.
And I think he said he's going to put Maddie to bed, and then he'll be right back. So,
that's cool.
Please give Maddie a kiss for me, and we'll see you back here as soon as she passes out, little sweetheart.
Indeed. We get, bro. But I'm always great to see you here, brother. The great Steve Mitchum. Yo, brother. Phantom Outsider. Great to see you, buddy. Appreciate you, man.
You. Yeah.
As always, it is great to see you. My great buddy, Pat S. Hey, bro.
Good to see you there, Pat's here. Great.
Yes, indeed, my great friend. The wonderful Felicianos, as in Raymond and the better half. Yes. Sandra.
Yes,
welcome.
The legendary couple. It's so nice to see the Felicianos. My love to you both.
Great to see you. Snorta Poopus Cuber.
Snorta Poopus! Cuber.
Great to see you, my friend. We appreciate you. Janet from another planet, our new friend, and it is so great to see you here. Thank you for being here, my dear. Listen, the great Eric K is here.
Eric K's here, and so's Chris.
Oh, would I leave him out ever? You know that.
Both of our best wrenches on YouTube.
Chris Persia, what's up, my brother? Great to see you, bud. Yeah, absolutely. A name that I enjoy, and therefore enjoy saying it, of course. And a new friend of the show, the Nerdporial Life Form. He has a new, who has a new channel.
Oh,
a channel up, and there's a link in my description below to to the channels of many wonderful YouTubers and friends of mine, including a new one in there for Mr. Or Mrs. or Miss, or I don't know, for Lifeform Nerdporial, the Nerdporial, as in the Nerdporial Lifeform. And so we have that link down there, of course, for you, my friend, and I hope your channel is doing well. Let's see here. We also have Dadman Walking 55, the scariest avatar on YouTube. Woo.
100%. That is a 100% true statement.
Yeah, and you know who else we have? We have Mrs. Dadman Walking. I do believe I saw in there.
Oh, really? Oh my goodness.
I backtrack. I can't find that. I don't know what kind of if there's a scary avatar there as well for Mrs. But I do believe we saw the Mrs. here. If I could be wrong. Earlier, Mrs. Dadman. I do believe I could be an error, as Spock would say, but I think I did.
Here with welcome. It's so nice to see you.
Yes, Dadman, welcome. Good to see you. Good to see you. Let's see. Your Muslim uncle, welcome, my friend. It is always a pleasure to see you, my friend. J-Man, what's up, buddy?
Hey, nice to see you.
Oh, I did see her. Okay, thank you, Deadman.
Oh, we have
Dadman. Sorry,
he has confirmed she is in the building.
Yes, I guess a Deadman. Our old pal, Scuba Pete.
Scuba Pete. I love you.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you, bud.
And my old new pal, D Bud Martin. Welcome, sir.
Yay!
Liger fan.
Yay!
Good to see you. Of course, we mentioned the great Mark D with a C was here.
Yes, we love you, Mark.
Good to see you, brother.
Of you to drop in. Nice to see you.
We always appreciate you, brother. Phoenix Argus, welcome. Good to see you.
Oh, Phoenix Argus is here already? You're early.
Always good to see you. Elaga Bullis, welcome.
Hey,
welcome,
nice
sir.
to see you.
Steve Arness.
I don't think he really likes TAS, though. He said that he's just going to listen in. It's not his cup of tea, but he's definitely here to support us. So he won't be live in the chat, but he will be listening. He's podcasting. So if you want us to say anything to him, please let us know in the chat, okay, as the show progresses.
Well, damn it, Elagabullus, that's not good enough. You are fired. Just kidding. Just kidding. We appreciate you. Captain Cockney Spock, welcome, my friend.
Nice to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you for popping in, sir. Brightest day, buddy. What's up? Yay. Good to see you. No evil or Star Trek, shall escape his sight.
Brightest day just hit a milestone on his
really?
YouTube. Yeah, on his YouTube channel. So congratulations,
Brightest. What would that be?
I think it was 100 subs.
Oh, okay. Well, excellent, my friend.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll get that link because I keep forgetting some of the links here. I will try to get that link later and put it up there for you. Because anyone, if not, I think you could probably. He has a relatively unique name that if you do search it on YouTube, you probably find it right away. Because you know how sometimes it's difficult to find someone's channel. Mm-hmm. But please subscribe and support Brightest Day's channel. He's a good dude. Good dude. And good friend of the show. If I missed anyone, I'm sorry. I hope we have not. We're about to push off. We're about to leave orbit. I don't think I did, but you know, even though I have a new setup where I can actually see my screen a little bit better, still blind as about everyone. So bear with me. Ace Cast Iron.
Hey.
Oh my, bro! Always great to see a superhero to me, and one of my longest. The longest term friends, one of my greatest friends in the entire world. And great to see you, bro. Love you, bro. Hope you're doing great, man.
And fun ratings.
Yes, always fun ratings.
Super nerdy ratings. I love Ace's nerdy ratings.
Of course. Love them, love them. Good to see you, brother. Okay, everyone. Excuse me. Star Trek, the animated series, as some could refer to it, started in, hit the air on Saturday mornings in 1973. At the time, of course, that was the heyday of Saturday morning cartoons. I lived as a child of about probably maybe like 9 years old or whatever. I lived for Saturday morning television. In particular, the Super Friends. But before that, even as a much younger child watching Saturday morning television, I loved Filmation Studios, Lou Scheimer's Superman and Aquaman Adventure Hour. Well, many of his other stuff, but he had a Superboy cartoon that I loved, still do. A Batman and Robin cartoon, of course. Adventures of Batman and Robin. But in other words, Lou Scheimer had been around a while, and of course, also notably, you'll probably remember Fat Albert.
Yes. Hey.
Oh yes, Fantastic Voyage. So it was just what I lived for Saturday mornings. Now, so I got to watch, and at the time I hadn't seen a lot of the original series because I was pretty young. I hadn't seen much of it, and I didn't get to see this cartoon every Saturday, but I got to see it when I could, and again, I wasn't the hardcore Trekker that I am now. Naturally, I was 9 years old. I was into superheroes and all that stuff, but I watched it when I could. Clobby was 15. No, I was not 15. I was, I'm old enough as it is, dude. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, well, just speaking of that era, it was a very special time. There was a huge cultural shift. Children typically didn't get up in the morning and grab these sugary cereals that they started producing, and they certainly weren't allowed to go into the front room or the living room or the family room with food. But we had this emergence of these TV tables and TV dinners, and this whole idea that emerged. And the after effect of that was that children led a completely different life on a go-forward basis. And certainly it was very intense in the 1970s. We had children that were pouring themselves a bowl of cereal. In some cases, children were actually taking scissors and cutting open a mini box of cereal and pouring the milk directly into the box, and then going and sitting in front of the television and watching an entire morning dedicated to young children. And many kids called it all the new cartoons. It wasn't even Saturday morning cartoons. It was, let's go watch all the new cartoons. And so that's what a lot of us did in the 1970s. And it was a very, very special time.
Well, it absolutely was. And again, it's, Robert, by the way, welcome. Good to see you, Robert. It was the Friday night before the new fall cartoons would the new Saturday mornings. It was so special. There were cartoons, to give you an idea how big they were and how big television was, because you had the 3 networks and public television, and that was about it. Very few people had cable at that point, but they would have like something like depending upon the network, some popular stars from whatever the biggest shows would do these Friday night preview shows for the next morning of the preview for the next morning of the new premiere, what the new cartoon schedule was. And I would watch that on that Friday night, and then I would camp out with my I'd make a little tent there with sheets and stuff like that in front of the TV, and my brothers and I would sleep in front of the TV that, and I couldn't wait to get up and watch cartoons. It's such a wonderful part of our lives growing up watching Saturday morning cartoons. And I can only imagine that if you were even just a little bit older and you'd gotten the chance to see the original series as much or more than I had at the time, and couldn't wait to see that cartoon come on. But I was that way with Super Friends and all those other things. And then many years later, when of course, somewhere in the early 80s, Nickelodeon brought it back for the first time, because it wasn't syndicated as much as the series was, the show was. But in brought it back and really just, I mean, I remember recording them all and getting a chance to watch them. And for me, in addition to watching, my VHSs of the recordings of the original series over and over again, it was getting to watch more Trek because you don't, you got Just Joe Jobber. What's up, brother? You got you had your 79 episodes, and you had the occasional novel, and you had some comics. So some more moving, talking Star Trek, and you got the occasional film at that point. It just meant the world.
Well, and to be included in that whole special moment where there wasn't previously a day or time slot set aside for children to watch television, and so this shift of the corporations looking to market these cereals and toys, and there were huge changes in advertising laws and the way that corporations communicated with children. It was just a very, very special time. At no other time did we have that sort of thing. There was no Nickelodeon, there was no YTV or youth television. There was nothing really dedicated to children. So this slot, this Saturday morning cartoons, and in some places the Saturday afternoon cartoons, this was a very, very special thing. And I absolutely love Scuba Pete's comment at this time, talking to that same point I was talking about how the advertising came together in the front room or in the family room. He says, anyone else try to get up before your siblings and grab the best small box cereal out of the multi-pack? And the multi-pack, it was, sometimes you could have 3, and I think sometimes, didn't we have 5 or 6? And there was always one for mom and dad, the bran buds or whatever at the end. And you certainly didn't want to get stuck with that. You would want the Frosted Flakes or the Corn Pops or whatever have you. So I love that comment, Scuba Pete.
Indeed. So what we're going to do is, of course, much like what we did with the original series, we are going to, of course, talk. We're going to do 5 episodes. We're going to talk about 5 episodes. And Raquel, of course, we have a reference book just as before. I have the book. I haven't got a chance to look at it as much. I know Mark T with the C has it, and of course, Raquel will be reading from that. We're doing them. I don't know if this is that much similar to the production order of the original series or anything, but these are in the proper order. If it's, I don't know if it's that much different because they didn't have a lot of continuity or anything, or but they're in the proper episode guide order.
Yeah, it's like it's the same sort of setup. So when you're looking at doing a podcast, or you want to do broadcasting, or and you want to convey a story and talk about something or do a review, it's really nice to have a summary, and it's really nice to have behind the scenes information, perhaps little facts that other people aren't aware of. And so I chose that book because of this. The person who wrote this book, it's actually a pair of guys, Aaron Harvey and Rich Skepis. They wrote this book together, and Aaron Harvey is a fan. He's a super fan of the animated series, and he appears to be a Gen Xer from his bio. So I'm not going to get into that, but there is an opening part of this book where Rich talks about everyone who he interviewed and created these never before known things and never before known moments, and he gets these things revealed to him by crucial members of people who created the original series. So we'll get into that, but yeah, the format of it is really, really cool, Clobby. It's basically we get a little summary again, then we get more of that behind the scenes, verified behind the scenes information, and there's a little bit of his socio-historical context in this book as well. So it's letting you know how things were received by adults and by children. So there are different little categories that give you little snippets to talk about. There are bloopers. I actually highly recommend this book. I haven't read this book proper, but I have extensively looked through the reviews of it, and I've definitely thumbed through the architecture of the book. So the way that the book is set up, and the things that it reveals and the things that it talks about. So on that score, because there is such a limited supply of this type of review for TAS. This one, I think, emerges as the best one that we could use to cover the most ground we possibly can, while also giving people something they haven't seen or heard on the internet before. And I think that's really crucial. I think it's really important not to keep traveling the same ground or get into fan lore, because a lot of the stuff that fans believe is, it's factoid that's been developed on the internet. It's not, they aren't actual facts. So I like that veracity. I like knowing that what we're saying is true and perhaps hasn't been revealed before. So that's the nature of my choice on this one. And I really hope you enjoy the book, Clubby. And Mark, I hope you enjoy it as well. In my real life, this is kind of what I do for a living. It's a part of what I do for a living, which is to vet and edit books and to peer review academic work and so on and so forth. So this one gets a check mark from me so far.
Well, what little I have been able to skim it and look different parts. Again, I've not read it all yet either. I really love it though. Again, I know it's not complete because I haven't read it all yet, but I really do enjoy the way it looks. It's a great looking book, and it's the info on it, and of course, is what I bits I've read so far. But do you like this? If you're a fan of the series, this is a good one to pick up. Probably. Doug 35, welcome. Good to see you.
Hey, Doug 35. Yeah, and the thing is I know people really rely on the internet quite a lot, but I cannot emphasize this enough for folks at home. As a communications and technology scholar, it's very important for me to let you know that most of the stuff you're going to find on Star Trek on the internet is user generated content. So there are times when you can go to IMDb and you can go to Memory Alpha and you can go to these places, and the information there is through a chain of fans, and sometimes that amounts to broken telephone. Sometimes these things are not true. Facts become factoids. And so if you're really into the animated series and you really want to see never seen before sketches, behind the scenes letters, communications, information that the public has never heard or seen before, this is really the book to do it. And I think it accomplishes a lot. And at least you know that what you are imbibing is true, not just something that a bunch of fans gave a thumbs up on and somebody just rando style wrote on the internet. And speaking to that, before Claudia and I went to air today, I was talking about how I'm a little troubled by what I am, thinking maybe what it is developing as a rivalry on the internet. And 5-10 years ago, when you saw people talking about TAS, a lot of people don't like the cartoon, but they certainly weren't horrible about it. And if you went on most of the rating sites, you would see that this Emmy award-winning show was really loved by the people who watched it, and it usually had ratings of 7.5, 8.5, 9 on the different episodes. And just today and yesterday, when I went and looked at these sites, it appears that a new crop of fans has moved in and sort of ratioed, as I guess people say in the geek community, this wonderful IP. So there are some extremely scathing and downright melodramatic and ridiculous reviews, and I am really sad to report that most of the episodes that we're covering today hover in and around 6 out of 10, thanks to this user generated content. And it wasn't even like this even like 5 years ago. So I don't like to talk about the filth, but the filth now has an animated version. And certainly I think that there's a rivalry there, and that is spilling over into the ratings and communications where this series is concerned. And I would just like to say again that this is an Emmy winning series, and has critically acclaimed writing in it, not just, a bunch of people got together in Hollywood to decide that this was really the people who they wanted to scratch and rub and fawn over. This was connecting with children and exposing them to some really profound and troubling concepts and really helping them through it, kind of like Mr. Dress Up. So you can see why I think that the overly painful and cruel ratings that have emerged very recently on these user-generated sites are disturbing to me. I don't find them fair, and they're melodramatic and quite ridiculous. So
yeah, to hell with them. Those are Dreckies anyway. They don't know what they're talking about. So
true.
Darren M, welcome. Good to see you. Thank you for popping in. We appreciate seeing you. So I appreciate everyone being here. I would preface before we get started, just a few things I would like to say about the animated series is considering, the constraints of, well, a few things. Your time slot, which is, of course, it's a Saturday morning children's time slot. In other words, that's your audience. And yet, even still, Gene Roddenberry, and DC Fontana and Dorothy Fontana, and of course Lou Scheimer still decided to put on a product in a series that could have easily just talked down the kids. You could have added silly robots. You could have added a lot of, a kid on the, you could have made it really immature. You could have really pandered to, because look, I love Saturday morning cartoons, but let's face it, that's what most Saturday morning cartoons were. You go back and watch them now, you love them as a kid, but they weren't aimed, they were not supposed to be aimed at adults either. They were, there's an immaturity and a wonderful charm to them. This show, a kid can watch it. And again, there are certain things you couldn't do that you could do in an adult time slot in the night. Yes. Like you couldn't have, Kirk, romancery and that kind of stuff. But you could still take the ideas and the philosophies of Star Trek and, put it there. Now, in other words, some of the more adult themes that were even on the original series at the time, you can't do that. But other than that, they didn't dumb it down. They did not talk down to anyone, which I just thought is so wonderful about this show. Now, anyone who knows anything about animation, and I'm a big animation fan, not an animator like our good buddy Steve Mitchum. He knows actually the ins and outs. But I do, I'm a fan of animation historically. This is what was always been termed, quote unquote, limited animation, and that it is true. Very budget animation. And also at the time, you have to also remember, these were the actors from the original series, except for Walter Koenig, who for budget reasons was not signed up to do it. But it's the original cast, and none of them were proud. At the time now, some of the biggest actors do voice and animation stuff now. At the time, I'm not so sure that was the case.
No, it was not the case.
And other than Duan, who was a voice kind of guy, none of these actors really had done a lot of, so in other words, it was totally different back then. And yet they still came on board to do these voices. And it's not the same kind of dynamic that you would get on a live show where they're really pouring their guts out as actors into it. Because again, the directors of these animated shows weren't used to directing big time actors and in adult drama. It just wasn't happening. Again, it's far different for later animation.
Yes. It's so true.
Nevertheless, it still manages to make something that kids can watch, and of course later, they'll watch that, and then a few years later, when they see the original show, if they hadn't watched it before, it would get them into it. That's happened a lot, and the animated series is just you have to watch it from that perspective, understanding this is a quote unquote cartoon. Well, I'm not going to say a kid's cartoon, but it was aimed at a kid audience, and yet it won an Emmy because it, along with Lou Scheimer's Fat Albert, which also was up for an Emmy, both of them at the same time were up for an Emmy. They gave it to Star Trek instead of that. But at the same time, they were both up for it, and which is phenomenal. And because Lou Scheimer loved kids, he loved cartoons, and he loved giving them solid, wonderful entertainment. And he had a chance here, like as with Fat Albert, which talked about social issues and still entertained children. This did the same thing. It talked about social issues and wonderful science fiction concepts. It's just what's so great about Lou Scheimer. He really cared about what he put out there, and you can tell he got a chance, even with this limited budget, to work with Gene Roddenberry. Mm-hmm. And how many other of the animation studios would have done it? I don't think Hanna-Barbera would have done it, or some of the other ones. So I really love Scheimer for that and for other things he's done. So I just wanted to point out that if you watch this show now and you've never watched it, you're going to see, I think, actually beautiful art, but you'll see it in a very limited animation capacity, and the voices are going to sound fairly static, but they're still the voices of the crew. So I just wanted to point that out. If you're a Trek fan and you haven't given them a chance, they're on Netflix or whatever. Take a look at them, and you might enjoy them, because I enjoy watching them. And you have to watch them through that lens, though, that this is for the time and what their time slot was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's an unfortunate circumstance. If you follow me, if you're one of the people who follows me on Twitter, you know that on several occasions, especially during the development of Lower Decks, I produced a letter, co-written by Gene Roddenberry and DC Fontana, expressly and very vehemently denying that the original series was written for children. They just saw this as their opportunity to get those stories out there and to not let this beautiful IP die. So they had some ideas that they wanted to flesh out, and they're very creative. And of course, everyone knows that at the end of season 3, well, not everyone, but perhaps our viewers know that in TOS at the middle of season 3, everyone walked away. They felt very bullied by the corporation, the corporate takeover, and the corporate Trek. So this was their opportunity to seize upon this IP again and bring it back to life. And so I couldn't find that letter. I have produced it on multiple occasions. I looked through all my files. I couldn't find it. And of course, sorting through your media on Twitter is hysterical. But I will find that letter, and I will produce it for you on Twitter when I have a few moments. But I will reiterate everything that Clobby said, and also say that as an academic and as somebody with different types of taste, I've never really liked cartoons. I've always been a book person. But this series is enjoyable for a cerebral adult who isn't into cartoons, especially if you want to look at it as a cultural artifact, and certainly to look at it as an extension of the IP and a reclaiming of the IP. So.
Yes, and we're going to get started on. We just felt like a lot of things needed to be said first, and the only other thing I will say is, if anyone would wonder why we would include this, depending on things that have been said about canon and whatnot, Gene Roddenberry did it. That's why we're doing it, because Gene Roddenberry created Star Trek. He created this. It is part of Star Trek, and it deserves to be treated with the respect that the other Treks, even if you're not into it. I believe. Yeah,
it never even used to be called the animated series. It was just called Star Trek.
Right.
And in 1988. Gene walked back from it and said, look, it's not canon. But the reason why he said that is because he specifically said this, that he didn't want to undo the possibilities of expanding the IP the way that it did. He didn't anticipate he would get another shot. He didn't anticipate that he would get to revisit this IP again. And so that's just him undoing that little knot in the chain, so that people don't come back and say, okay, well, this and this and this and this and this and this, and worry about continuity or why this couldn't be achieved or that couldn't be achieved. It's really Gene just being really honest. He had a shot to do this, and he took it. And he did not know what the future held. And if he would have known, perhaps he said as much, perhaps he wouldn't have allowed them to go so wild with it. And that's what happens. So I'm with Clobby. I consider this Star Trek. And I'll go along with Gene's request to call it Star Trek, the animated series, instead of just Star Trek.
Fair enough. Absolutely. Well, everyone, I guess we're going to get rolling here.
Yeah.
So if you're ready, number one.
Okay, so if you're following along with the book, because I know we have been advertising this book quite a bit. So if you're following along, I want you to turn to a word from the authors. And the only reason why I'm going to read this is because I think it's really important that you understand the veracity of what's being said here and how this came together. So this wasn't one of your typical people perusing these user-generated sites and blogs and asking people questions about Star Trek. This was somebody who went about the business of getting to the truth. And that's what this is going to unfurl. So without further ado, please turn to a word from the authors from Star Trek, the official guide to the animated series. Pinch me. Somebody pinch me. Please pinch me. I still don't believe this is real. I wrote a Star Trek book, and what an incredible experience it was. 160 pages of bliss. The most I have ever written on my own were 89-page game programs, but 75% of that was advertisement, pictures, and stats. If someone would have come back from the future and told me this would happen, after all, you can't write Star Trek without at least a little bit of time travel, I would not have believed them. But here we are. And the icing on the cake was being able to tell the stories of the animated series, TAS, from the very people who made the show. People like David Gerrold, Bob Klein, and Fred Bronson, to name just a few. Gerrold was amazing and generous with his time. He spoke about moving on from Star Trek, from the Star Trek part of his career. And if that's true, I am honored to have been one of the last interviews he gave on The Final Frontier. As you will read in the acknowledgments, both Klein and Bronson were out of this world. Should that be considered a pun? Klein is responsible for about 95% of the artwork in this book, and Bronson shared all his press releases, which allowed quotes from Gene Roddenberry, Margaret Arman, and others to be included. They have not been seen, or maybe never were seen, in over 45 years. I would be remiss not to mention Dorothy Fontana. She was TAS and responsible for the show not just being a cartoon, but rather an animated version of Star Trek. She shared some wonderful stories about the writers and what her day-to-day was like as an associate producer, which does not do justice to her duties as she ran that show. Sadly, almost a half a century has passed since the debut of TAS, and many of the people who were involved with that show are no longer with us. Resources have gone missing, the original music recordings lost. Painstaking measures have been taken to ensure that information and artifacts included in this guide are authentic and verified. However, some episodes will be thin on content and original art. So isn't that marvelous? This person has decided that rather than turning to the internet, they're not going to do that. It's going to be a little bit thin, folks, but it's better to be thin and true. Before I leave you, I want to share something Gerrold said in the interview. I wasn't able to find an appropriate place for it, but it was inspiring and gave a glimpse into how TAS was produced. Quote, Star Trek is supposed to represent human beings getting along with each other. You have to live it in order to write it. I said to Gene one day, I'm so conscientious about that. I have to represent Star Trek that I'm not even jaywalking anymore. One of the reasons why Star Trek is effective and so successful is that on its very, very most basic level, it says there will be a future and we're all going to be a part of it. It's going to be a good future and everybody will have a place in it. That's truly the underlying message of every Star Trek episode. But that's also a responsibility that if you are entrusted with the responsibility of portraying and presenting that future, you have to live as you are part of that future. And you have to speak as if you are part of that future. You have to really take the time to be the kind of person who represents that future. It means walking the walk. That's the responsibility of Star Trek. Star Trek is supposed to be special. Hopefully, David is proud and believes that I walked the walk. So the next area in the book, Clobby, if you wanted to talk about that.
Katie Carr's here. Would you say hello to Katie?
Hey, Katie!
Katie!
So nice
great
to see you.
Great to see you, my dear. Sorry, go ahead.
So that's just the introductory part that I thought that you should all know about, and that getting to that veracity part of the storytelling that you are going to hear on Clobberin Treks and Saturday Night Star Trek here on Clobberin Times. So and that's why I chose the book. So
Indeed.
I'll get to it now. There are a couple of places in the book that I would like you to turn to. It on page 11, it says, "The show that would not die. The return of Star Trek was officially announced on March 2nd, 1973, as NBC revealed Gene Roddenberry's creation would be returning as an animated series to the network's fall schedule as its part of its Saturday morning lineup. 4 years and 34 days after the final episode of the original series, Turnabout Intruder, aired. It truly was a turnabout for the franchise that needed a fan letter campaign to ensure a third season of the live-action show. The animated series, as it is known today, was called just Star Trek in 1973, which was fitting since the show reunited the architects of TOS, creators, producers, writers, and actors. Roddenberry and TAS associate producer, and story editor Dorothy Fontana were quick to clarify that while the new series was an animated version of Star Trek, it was not a kiddie show, but the Star Trek fans knew and loved. So, and here's another part here on page 13 that I think we should get into. And it's Gene Roddenberry having a conversation about the advantages of animation. And here we have some quotes from him. "If there's a difference between the live and the animated versions of Star Trek," Roddenberry said in a 1973 interview, "it is that we have opened up our universe to more aliens in the animated version. From our crew members, Arex to Mres, to many civilizations we visited in the first season of animated shows. It is easier to create an alien with pen strokes than with makeup on a live actor." Roddenberry and Fontana's mantra to writers when scripts were submitted was to let their imaginations run wild. Now, audience members could see Spock's pet Sela, a landing party walk on the outside of a starship, and the crew shrink, as well as a three-armed alien helmsman, volcanoes erupting with lava, dinosaurs, and more. In animation, any kind of planet landscape equipment, including starships, could look any way we wanted, and we could show as many as we wanted. Any alien could be represented as well, and no fear of zippers showing, Fontana added. And just in my notes here, I have another advantage of animation is William Shatner no longer has to wear his corset or his girdle. And getting to the Emmy part of this on page 14. TIS introduced new technology and characters, including the first holodeck and the first captain of the Enterprise. However, these items pale in comparison to the franchise's greatest singular achievement, an Emmy Award. While TOS earned numerous nominations, including 3 straight acting nods for Nimoy and nominations for drama series, film editing, sound editing, and art direction, it never took home a statue. Things did not look like they were going to change with TAS after falling short of an Emmy for Outstanding Entertainment Children's Series in 1974. But the second time was the charm, as TAS would walk away with the 1975 Outstanding Entertainment Children's Series Emmy. So that gets into what you were saying, Clobby. And yeah, just speaking again to what Clobby was saying, if you turn to page 17, there's some interesting conversation going on here with Dorothy Fontana and Gene Roddenberry. And they're talking about the fact that there were a lot of writing limitations and the shift in how they were going to write. The obvious drawbacks to writing the show were the half-hour limitations and keeping the storytelling to one main action line and one subplot, Fontana explained. The pluses outweighed the drawbacks, in our opinion. Ultimately, TAS wound up producing more focused episodes, and in some cases, stronger shows than the final season of TOS. Well, I agree with that. The restrictions forced the writers to be more concise in their storytelling. But the characterization, intelligent plots and themes, and good storytelling established in TOS was never sacrificed, including the fan-loved back and forth between Spock and McCoy. So some really good and interesting stuff here. If you turn to page 20, you will definitely see that they're getting into the fact that, Walter Koenig was not a part of the show. And I believe neither was Nichelle Nichols at the outset. And there are 2 full paragraphs where we get into the fact that Leonard Nimoy had an objection and went forward and said, I want to do this show, but I'm not going to do it unless the gang's all here. So he went to bat for his friends to make sure that they were a part of this series as well.
Cool. Excellent.
Sorry.
So, no, I was just going to say, what do you want? I've jumped the gun and put we're reviewing the episode yet. You got more stuff pre that to go? Or?
No. We can just go ahead and we could just jump into the episodes now.
If you're sure. Because I mean,
oh yeah, for sure. I just wanted to lay some of that groundwork down so that people can understand. And I also wasn't anticipating you to talk to it, to speak to that issue a little bit at the top of the hour, or at the top of the show. And I just wanted everyone to know that what you said is indeed true.
Okay.
It's not an opinion; it's a fact.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. I just dumped the gun and I put the picture out there already.
Oh, no problem at all.
Episode. Okay, so no, that's cool.
So season 1, episode 1, air date September 8th, 1973, Beyond the Farthest Star. And this was written by Samuel A. Peoples and directed by Hal Sutherland.
Yeah, Peoples wrote Where No Man Has Gone Before, the second pilot.
Yeah. So red alert, the Enterprise is dragged towards Questar M17 and avoids crashing into the dead star at the last moment due to some quick thinking on Kirk's part. Once in orbit, the crew discovers a much larger, ancient ship devoid of life and energy. Since Starfleet is about exploration, a landing party goes over to investigate, where they find each of the vessel's organic pods has burst from the inside, leading Spock to theorize the crew intentionally destroyed their own ship. The alien craft hums back to life as the ambient body heat and movement of the landing party has inadvertently restored power. Take that, Scotty. McCoy and the engineer note they feel like they're being watched as they enter the ship's control center. Oh, there's a typo there. And are immediately trapped within. McCoy and Scotty's suspicions are confirmed as something is now frantically attempting to get inside the room. Spock assessing a warning left by the captain of the vessel, which reveals that something, actually a very bad something. The control center self-destructs as Kyle pulls the landing party out in the nick of time, and a stowaway has returned with them. An energy being escapes into the Enterprise's systems, and Kirk activates the Enterprise's fancy automatic bridge defense system just in case. Turns out to be a good call, as the malevolent life form is now taking control of the ship. Spock rigs a low-frequency shield around the navigation control as the captain plays a hunch the alien needs the crew to operate the Enterprise. In response, the alien uses the bridge defense systems against Spock, forcing the captain to relent to its demands to help it escape. Of course, Kirk bluffs that he is ramming the Enterprise into the star, which forces the life form to leave the Enterprise for Questar M17. As the Enterprise departs, the malevolent life form can be heard begging them to stay because it is so lonely, a request the crew ignores. So,
yes.
What do you think of this episode?
This was always one of my favorite ones, because, again... And now watching it after all this time, you should. I think I marvel at it even more now because that was on in 19. This is, by the way, broken record, folks. I'm going to say this kind of thing a lot about this show, just like you said about the original series. Like some of the ideas, when you think of it now, 50 years later, you go, "Wow, that was on a time." I mean, now you may take it for granted, but you considering the time that was on television, it's just astonishing. In this case, and that's network television, prime time, in the case of the original series. The fact that it's on a Saturday morning TV show, the ideas. And I just want, Mark D. with the C was putting some quotes from the episode. The dialogue, everything about it is written just like real Star Trek.
Yep.
Yeah, because it is to me. It's real Star Trek to me. Agent Decibel, welcome. Good to see you. It's it's just a wonderful story. Again, by the way, I would note that you can say what you want about it, but I kind of like the idea of the environmental belts. Again, you couldn't do that on the original series. You probably couldn't do that in the live action.
Belts.
The live support belts are kind of cool. I like them. I know, it's almost as if, because we talked a lot about how my beloved Legion of Superheroes is very Star Trek-ish as a superhero thing. Well, they kind of got that from the Legion. Someone was reading Legion of Superheroes comics when they put that in there. Kidding? I don't know. I'm just.
Well, I've actually read in a couple of places, and it's in this text as well, that that might actually have had more to do with the restraints of the animation budget than anything else.
I know. I was just kind of joking around.
Oh no, I totally agree. But I just want everyone to know that's what's going on there. Apparently it was going to be incredibly expensive to render more illustration with them inside of the suits we're used to seeing them in, the environmental suits. So the little belt made things a lot easier, and you'll see the belt will there are some bloopers with the belt. I'm just going to point that out.
Yeah, look, the animation again, the art, especially, by the way, that ship is beautiful. The go board is
gorgeous.
There's just no way you could have done that on any kind of a budget back then, with no CG and no way to set that kind with the kind of budget they have, especially for the third season and that sort of thing. So that going aboard a ship that is just as alien as it could possibly be, which I just was wonderful. Again, so above normal Saturday morning fare. Again, get ready for that broken record as well, everyone, because it is everything they do on the show is. And this thing is a very, yes, a young child may not be able to grasp all of the concepts, but that's the great thing about the show. They could still watch it and be fascinated, especially at the time when they're not jaded like they are now, even though it was limited animation, it was still beautiful art. And they go aboard this ship, and it's just, I don't know if this is a proper term, conceptually alien. It looks nothing like you'd see that the Federation has or anything like that. Yeah. And yet it was still, they were able to find a way to communicate with it. And you had this alien entity, and you also had a pretty sad ending there where you felt this story runs deep, and it makes you feel sorry for this. They did call it evil, and it was malevolent. It did bad things, and yet they left it on this planet. They had, that when they could finally understand what it was saying, "I'm so lonely." Mr. Doohan's voice, who, by the way, Doohan did a lot of voices on the show.
He did. He's a bit of a radio guy, right? Like everything,
yes.
But they knew that at the outset, like when they first hired him. It was one of the reasons why he was hired on his audition for TOS is his ability to do any type of voice. So that was seen as a plus. And of course, we know that that he used his voice for many purposes on TOS.
Magil did a lot of it as well.
Yeah.
And as I said, this episode is written by Samuel L. Peoples, who wrote Where No Man Has Gone Before, the second pilot, of course, of the original series. A science fiction writer and TV writer in his own right, not just someone who just came off the street that was writing for just cheap animation or anything like that. Lou Scheimer really believed in the product he put out there. He wanted to make an intelligent show. This is obviously with that 22 minutes that they have to tell their story. You can't go too far, can't go too deep, and yet they managed to tell a compelling, intelligent, imaginative story to show kids ideas that they would challenge them. And again, adults can watch and go, wow, this is really this is Star Trek. It's like watching I'm getting a Star Trek story. That if it had been done on the original series, you'd be going, wow, this is a fascinating episode. I felt bad for the entity at the end, and even though it was bad, it was using lesser beings, because again, this show on this series, they explored crazy or out there alien concepts, which is what one of the things Star Trek is all about. So,
well, certainly here we get to see a flex of what Charlie X could have been if they would have had CGI.
Yeah,
because this is that idea, right? This absolutely horrible violence that happens to this, very organic looking ship, and there's virtually no remorse. There's only remorse. The only remorse the entity has is for itself. And so yeah, very reminiscent of Charlie X.
And because of flow, I don't usually put some of the quotes up here. You guys all write up some really great stuff, but Mark D with a C does, just to give you an example. I mean, this is for a Saturday morning television show in 1973. It has become the Enterprise. We are only life support organisms in its body, like the white corpuscles of human blood. That's on a cartoon in 1973, folks. No, it would never be. Only Gene Roddenberry, Lou Scheimer, and people, and Dorothy Fontana, people who care about what they're doing, would put intelligent dialogue like that on there. There was great fidelity to the intelligence of Star Trek on this show.
Yeah, and also the fact that we used to expect quite a lot more from children than we do now.
Yes.
Years ago, children spoke Greek and Latin and left grade school, almost fully loaded for life, and now we see this, delayed childhood in well into the 20s, and in some cases even into the 30s. So, yeah. There's a reason why we turned out the way that we did, the kids who grew up in the 1970s and 60s. And the quality of programming was much higher, and certainly made the child go away and sort of say, I need to go and look that up in my Funkin' Wagnalls or my Encyclopedia Britannica and figure out what that is, right?
Yeah. Yep. Well, Phantom Outside, I agree that indeed he did get what it deserved, but still, human compassion is weird. What can I tell you? And I still kind of felt like that's a shame that this entity had, but Kirk did what he had to do, of course. So,
I agree with Phantom Outsider. I totally agree with you. I feel like I felt that the entity that was abandoned got what it deserved. I like what you say there, because I don't like what they did to those organic people. So those organic people. So Klein, apparently Klein came forward and he gave multiple drawings to Gene Roddenberry, and Gene Roddenberry was like, no, weirder, more organic, weirder, more organic.
It was weird.
So when I see that ship and I see all of those beautiful little orbs coming out of it, and I see that it was like a communal, it was like a beautiful little community, and to see them burst open like that so violently, this creature, it was not a good creature. It was definitely a very malevolent creature, and felt no remorse in murdering the entire crew of that ship, and possibly even that civilization. So yeah, but I'm also with Clobby, because it's so sad to leave it behind. What a thing for a young child to grapple with in the morning, watching cartoons and to have conversations like this, and perhaps even take them into playtime.
Well, that was a typical, there was a lot of Trek episodes that ended on fairly high notes, as you know.
Yes.
But then there were some that ended like Charlie X, and some other ones where it was kind of, they won, they got away from it. But, again, Charlie was a child, and it was kind of a sad ending. This, of course, is an entity that, yes, it was evil, did all that stuff, but did it really understand the concepts of evil? I don't know. But again, this episode made you think. And again, that was a beautiful design of that ship. So I guess what I will do now, unless you had any notes or anything.
I do have some notes. So if
we'll do that first.
So if folks are going to IMDb to check out some notes, this volume has some excellent trivia that you needn't try to verify. It's here and it's verified. So on page 34 for this episode, it says, fascinating. The episode marked the only time in all 7 returning TOS actors would gather together to record their voices. In addition to Beyond the Farthest Star, the group also laid down voices for Yesteryear and More Tribbles, More Troubles. Lieutenant Kyle became the first subsidiary Enterprise crew member to return from TOS. Oh, yeah. However, James Doohan voiced the character rather than John Winston, who had portrayed Kyle in the live-action show. Winston would return as Kyle in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. While animation animation allowed writers' imaginations to go wild when it came to the starship design, alien life forms, and planet environments. The budget was not unlimited. Life support belts replaced the bulky environmental suits from TOS, like the Tholian web, which would have seen an increase in production costs for character art. So yeah, I was talking about that earlier. The series premiere marks the first time two doors are seen on the Enterprise bridge, which came about from the need to have the scene flow into one direction. That way, you would not have to turn them around, Klein explained. The trouble with flipping Star Trek characters is the badge. Of course, he means the comm badge. So they tried to avoid that when they could. Roddenberry was also in favor of a second turbolift door on the bridge after receiving a fan suggestion in the mail during the TOS run. Audiences would see it utilized again in Star Trek: The Motion Picture. Initial production sketches listed the episode title as Beyond the Farthest Boundary. And for bloopers here, you'll see Kirk's pants are painted the same color as his tunic early in the episode, making it appear as if he has 3 arms. The challenges and workarounds of the 6-layer animation process were on display as Scotty only had a torso while standing at the bridge's engineering section during several close-ups in the first act, and Scotty's uniform braid denotes captain's rank for a brief moment when he is trapped under the hatch to the engineering core.
So that would be what I would normally, what
everyone at home would normally be waiting for, which would be my show notes.
Well, there you go. Excellent. We're just this is a new wave for us. We're just getting finding our sea legs with this new now that we were starting on something new with the animated series. So well, number one, in that case, I suppose what we'll do is, like as we always do, and again, if you haven't seen the episode or any of them, that's cool. We're just glad to see you all here. We love seeing you here. And by the way, Nerd Portal Life Form, by the way, the reason why Candid was not, although I did write one episode, was budget. They couldn't get it. They couldn't afford all the actors. So what we'll do is I will ask you, number one, for your rating of Beyond the Farthest Star. I'll give mine, and I will ask our illustrious chat, for anyone who's seen it, what they rate it.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and give this a B-. And the reason why I want to give it a B- is because you're talking about sea legs. I don't think this episode has its sea legs. You can definitely tell that there's a shift in the way that the scripts are written. And I feel as though there's a little bit of a struggle here. And I think we hit the ground running a little too hard. And as we move through the episodes, you'll actually see that there are some of the writers that are able to grasp this concept of such a finite little teeny tiny window of time in which to get the script done. So I think it's a little too tight. You know what I mean? A little too tightly wound. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give it a B-.
Okay, I'm going to give it a solid B. I really love the ideas of the episode, and I love the way that ship looks, and I love those the life support belts. So yeah. I like it. I've always liked this episode. Everyone who has seen this episode, please now give us your rating if you have one for us. J-Man says once we finish. Oh, they're watching The Prisoner. Cool, love it. Great.
The Prisoner is so good.
Once The Prisoner and my wife and I will power through these. Okay, well, cool, J-Man. Cool. Let me know what you think of them. But yes, anyone who has seen Beyond the Farthest Star, please throw your rating in there. And let's see. We got some now. Okay, here we go. Hope I'm starting at the right spot. I could actually see a little bit better this week. Maybe I'm. All right, Snorta Poopas Cuba are one of 3. Wow, he's seen it then. A B+. Once again, we are exploring on the outermost rim of the galaxy, a recurring theme that makes one wonder just how fast the Enterprise is. Yeah, gotcha.
That's true, Snorta Poopas.
Number 2 for him, and I'll circle back to the next one here. The grand tradition of the senior officers beaming into danger continues. Well, of course, and I love it. I'm all for that grand tradition there. The use of animation to show truly alien designs is fully established in this episode. Good point, and I love that. I love that they just go all out with it like that.
Yep.
All right, let's see here. Bop, 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 bop. Eric K. A B. Kirk should have fired some photonic torpedoes to get rid of that darn thing before he kills again.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe he should have Yeah. I went, oh, yep. If that would destroy it, I don't know if it would. Remember they had to kind of trick the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but they could have found some way, I suppose. Here we go. D. Bud Martin. B. The alien trapped in orbit for millennia, trying to escape, is very Trek to me. The 30-minute limit, and actually like 22 if you cut out credits, like something like that. But yeah,
yep.
Limit rushed the finish a bit. Yeah, that's going to be kind of a thing that they had to struggle with all their stories. The life support belts are corny though. Wish they did spacesuits. I know, but I guess I like. But you're a comics guy also, D. Bud. I don't know. They reminded me of Brainiac 5's life support belt, force field belt thingy. But I hear you. Scuba Pete B+. Loved the belts. Love the alien ship. That alien ship is wonderful. I love it. Aurin Feliciano Raymond says, A. Is that an A-? I don't know. A small A. The artwork was amazing. The artwork was amazing. The malevolent alien trope is, again, a bit old, but overall, it was good. Yes,
yeah.
But they are.
I think they kept it fresh, Raymond, though, by giving us 2 layers of aliens we hadn't encountered before. So one being that malevolent, Charlie X type, but then these wonderful creatures that inhabited this wonderful organic, spider-like ship. So
right.
Yes, agreed. Point taken, Raymond.
Indeed. Let's see here. Doug 35 gives A+. Thank you, Doug.
Nice, Doug.
Sandra says a B-. How could a ship that old talk to a different species? There's no. Didn't Spock mind meld it with it or something like that?
I believe so.
In that one. There's no indication of a universal translator. Some of the scenes seem to be pieced together rather than constructed to tell a story. Yep. Well, again, it was a different type of storytelling that Roddenberry and all those people, we're not used to. It's a different marriage of Saturday morning and prime time TV review.
Yeah.
Damn Man Walking number 55, scaring me with that Avatar almost. B+. Maybe because I underestimated what it would be going into, what I would be going into, or what it would be going into, and feeling sorry for that entity at the end really got me. Yeah, and it was a horrible entity, but still. I hear you. B for Mrs. Deadman Walking.
Oh my goodness! Were
That's
you
also
working
a scary
on your wife's avatar of her own?
That's also. I love their avatars. They're scary.
You can definitely. This couple definitely watches some serious horror. I think.
Yeah.
Together.
They're horror fans. But if you're not a horror fan, don't you ever watch Trilogy of Terror, folks? Just saying. That's where you got that from. Chris Persia, a B-. Kirk shoving the transporter engineer to the side didn't feel like something he would do. Well, yeah, and Mr. Kyle being James Doohan was kind of different too. I guess they weren't going to call it John Winston or whatever. Mark D with a C, A-. This could have been an episode of live action Trek. That's true.
Yeah.
The story was compressed, but it's not a dumb shoot 'em up. It's a story that makes you think, even for a Saturday morning cartoon. Yeah. That is. Agreed. Absolutely right. The whole series is just like even a lesser episode. The series in general is like that. Faladum Outsider B. No matter how old a rotten alien is, Kirk will still kick its butt. Also, if you can't work the transporter fast enough, get out of Kirk's way. The belts were stylish. That was that's one. Let's see. Let me find the other one here. I can't find that other one there, bud. Oh, there we go. Oh, no, I missed it. I'm going to have to take it in turn because I can't find it there. Let me see, get some more reviews. Blah, blah, blah. I'll have to catch the replays. Oh, yeah. Oh, Steve has to run. Sorry about that, sir. Bro, hey, look, appreciate it, buddy. Steve, we'll see you later, man. Steve Mitchum. Katie Carr, I give the first episode of Animated a B+. Thank you, Katie.
Nice.
There you go. A well-received episode indeed. I'm so glad people are interested in this show. I think we got. Well, let's see. I didn't see number 2 of Phantom.
That's okay. I didn't see Steve Mitchum saying that he had to go. Good night, Steve. StreamYards.
Yeah, because I got your first one there, Phantom, and now I can't find number 2. The next one I find is, so I apologize, is the entity now has a whole new eons long confinement to think about how he should treat others. Maybe next time he'll be nicer. Remember, he was alone for 300 million years already. He'll be fine.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
3. I couldn't find 2. I'm so sorry. I don't know what this, and I got my thing closer this time. Or maybe he meant that was 2 and he actually put 3 because there's another one there. A cautionary tale for Doomcock's pal Harvey. Be nice, or somebody may or may not push the button. By the way, Phantom Outsider, I know your secret identity now, bud. You know that, but I'm not going to expose you. Don't worry.
I love this Phantom Outsider's comments tonight, and I love the philosophical angle at which he approaches it. And I am definitely in favor of this line of argumentation. There is compassion, but then there's certainly a malevolent being that would not be so kind, even if you were to try and rehabilitate it. So here's
yes,
Outsider. I really like your comments tonight.
Indeed. I really appreciate everybody's comments. The Phantom Outsider is always on point. JT Kirk, welcome. Good to see you, my friend.
Hey, JT Kirk's here.
Let me see if we have any more reviews before
you're
we
not
move on.
feeling well? Well, I hope you're feeling better.
Oh,
I'm sending you a hug. I'm sending you a cyber hug, JT Kirk.
It's not. Okay, so I'm way behind. So I can't see that yet, but I did see him pop in there. JT Kirk, I hope you feel better, sir. I'm sorry about that. All right, buddy. Let's see. I think we got all of our reviews. If I miss anyone, I apologize. You can let me know. I don't know what happened to Ash. Maybe Ash is not reviewing this show. I don't know. We'll see. Well, there we go. We got one for Phoenix Argus. B, the artwork was simply amazing. The shading and colors are well done, and love the alien design for the craft. I'm so with you there. I'll get grilled for this. The Enterprise comes across as a starship. A starship than a model.
He's missing more. And yeah, you're right, Phoenix Argus, on all counts, especially the fact that the countenance. I'm blown away by the countenance. Like sometimes you look in Michelle's face, or you look in Kirk's face, or you look in Spock's face, and there's a trueness to their inner character. It's great.
Okay, well, I got you there. Yes. I personally would have loved to see them use the extravehicular activities suit. However, that is just me. However, I will always love the dramatic music used in this cartoon. Yeah, that Filmation stock music, by the way, I think it was originally not done for this show, and then later they used it on Tarzan, one of my favorite Filmation shows, and many other ones. That
there's actually like a little mini chapter on that in this book. If you
cool.
I'll
definitely
look. It's there, and
cool, nice. He also says the story does seem like it was stumbling, and maybe we get more of the malevolent being if time wasn't a factor. And the ending makes me feel melancholic about the entity. Yeah, I did too. I mean, I know it was a horrible monster.
Yeah. Well, great comments. Yeah, it's just and DC Fontana talks about this in her opening comments about how they really struggled to find a way to convey those stories in a much tighter time frame, and they didn't they just didn't know how to deal with it. And DC Fontana found herself saying to them, just write it as if it's Star Trek, and them trying to find comfort in that phrase.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, Doug, look, no, a B is high for me. I mean, look, I don't know if there'll be that many D's on this one, like the third season or something, but look, that's a great episode. Like, I've always liked this episode a lot, so you know it's cool. Thank you there, J-Man. So I do believe I'm hoping I'm right now that we have got all of our ducks in a row, and we've got all of our ratings in a row. So are you ready, number one, to move on to the next episode?
Yeah. Season 1, Episode 2, air date October 20th, 1973, Yesteryear. It is written by DC Fontana and directed by Hal Sutherland. If you would like to turn to page 36 of the Star Trek Official Guide to the Animated Series, I'll begin. Who's that, Vulcan? Kirk and Spock return through the Guardian of Forever after visiting the dawn of Orion civilization when the pair receives a rude welcome. McCoy doesn't know Spock. Kirk believes the Doctor to be joking, and the trio beam back to the Enterprise, where it's revealed Scotty also doesn't know the Vulcan. The mystery deepens as Kirk now has an Andorian first officer. Yay! And records indicate the son of Sarek and Amanda died when he was just 7 years old. Kirk and Spock return to the planet, where they learn Federation historians decided to pass their time during the duo's mission to Orion by peeking into Vulcan's past. Whoops! Spock explains his life originally was saved by a cousin who looked a lot like himself on the day he supposedly died, leading Kirk to wonder if he had saved himself, which he did. Spock returns to Vulcan's past to restore the timeline because that never goes wrong. He arrives just in time to watch his younger self ridiculed by other children, which leads Sarek to apologize for the young Spock's emotional outburst during the confrontation. Adult Spock introduces himself as a cousin, but Sarek senses something familiar. Must be a family resemblance. It is time for young Spock to decide whether he will choose the Vulcan or human way of life, and the former requiring a test of endurance in the desert. Young Spock sneaks away for a trial run, followed by his Salet, Ichaya. Adult Spock tails them and arrives to witness the Salet protecting his younger self from the Lamatya beast. The adult Spock delivers a neck pinch to incapacitate the creature, and Ichaya collapses from its wounds, which appear to be life-threatening. Ichaya is too big to move back to the city, so logic dictates young Spock seek a healer to bring back to the Salet. Sadly, young Spock's human behavior and reputation precede him, and he must take time to convince the healer he is telling the truth, time that might have been enough to save his pet. Unfortunately, the healer can do nothing but give Ichaya a peaceful death, which young Spock allows. The two Spocks return home, and the younger one apologizes to Sarek for any trouble he caused and informs his father he chooses the Vulcan way. Adult Spock returns through the Guardian and has restored the timeline, with one exception. Ichaya did not die before. And so that is what happened in this episode. What do you think of this episode, Bobby?
Here we go with time travel, but you know what? It's a fairly enjoyable episode. It's never been actually my favorite one, even though I know Roddenberry singles. I like it. Don't get me wrong. It's a good one, but some of the stuff with the time, I consider it to be a mildly entertaining episode at best. I don't ever have anything bad to say about it.
Which is crazy because Gene Roddenberry cites this as the only canon within this particular IP. So within the animated series, Gene Roddenberry said, this is the only one which we may turn to for correct storytelling.
I don't have anything bad to say about it. I'm just saying it's not like one of my favorites or anything. I thought I'm kind of that way with some of the time travel stuff, although it was the Guardian of Forever at least. It's a good, solid kind of a decent, fun episode. It's certainly not as challenging idea-wise as Beyond Farther Star or something like that. But seeing Mark Leonard return as Sarek, though, or hearing him, I should say, is a standout for the episode for me. Getting to see the Salet and all that kind of stuff. I guess it was Magil doing the voice for Amanda Grayson.
Yes, she was. Yep.
There you go. It was always
also the Federation historian Gray.
Okay, it was always either her or Duhan. Everybody else.
Yeah.
There's no one else.
Well, except for Nichelle Nichols does take time being the voice of the computer.
Oh, okay.
She does appear as the voice of the computer.
Oh, I got you. Okay, so again, I don't have anything bad to say about it. It's an entertaining episode. It's good. It's good to see a little bit of Spock's past like that. Stories when someone goes back and meets themselves and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes they're not that big. I'm not that big on them, but they're cool. They're fine. So yeah, this is it's certainly a decent, entertaining episode. You?
Mm-hmm. For me, I love this episode. I
Mm-hmm.
think this episode is a little dangerous. There's some stuff happening in it. We have the birth of the Anar, obviously, because the Andorian is the wrong color. So we see this Anar emerging on Andor. And I think I hate to say it, it's fascinating to look into Spock's life. However, I think that perhaps the filth decided to glom onto this. Glom. Do you like how I did that, folks? Glommer. To glom on to this episode, and I think use it too literally and too often and too heavily. They pulled out the large marge on this one, so that could be a little sad.
Mm-hmm. Liger fan, no, you won't catch any crap. That's not Star Trek. The Jar Jar Abrams stuff is filth. So yeah, but hey, whatever you prefer, that's fine. So I won't give you any crap over it, just so you know that not with you there. That's not Star Trek to me.
Yeah.
So
but we hold no prejudice against those who like the new stuff. But for us here, yeah, it's just the 735. That's why I kind of call it the 735 Club.
That's not Star Trek. That's Star Trek in name only. It's filth to me. I hold a lot of hatred in my heart for the idiots who made it, but if someone likes it, I could still love you as a pal. So I might just look at you funny a little bit. I'm messing with you, Liger
No,
fan.
he's just messing with you.
Yeah. But anyway, no, I do like I said, I like it. I think it's a solid episode, and I love that you love it because, then of course, you love those Andorians, and we always want to see more Andorians. Could this have been a descendant of Shran? I mean, what, and I would like to have seen that character again, actually.
Yeah. Well, definitely he could have if he would have made love to an Anar, right?
Okay.
Because he's
she.
So yeah, he would have needed to copulate. Coitus and Doris with an
yep.
Yeah, but interesting idea.
Indeed. So you have notes?
I do. So Fontana is identified as writer DC Fontana in the credits. Female writers often used their initials rather than their names, so male viewers would not know a woman wrote the story. Yesteryear was one of the episodes the original returning cast recorded together. This is the first time Spock's mother's name is ever said. Last name, I'm sorry, is ever said. Grayson. Jar Jar Abrams, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, inspired his move, blah, blah, blah. Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Voyager, and Star Trek Enterprise referenced people, ceremonies, or places in this episode, with Enterprise exploring the Vulcan Forge in a 3-episode arc, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Andorian skin color was blue, but Thalen's appears a grayish pink, which is similar to the Andorian subspecies Anar on Enterprise, which I already told you. Director Hal Sutherland's son Keith voiced one of the Vulcan children. The Lamatya's voice was actually Godzilla's, taken from the Japanese films.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Yesteryear won the Best Contemporary Science Fiction Film at the 2nd Annual Science Fiction and Fantasy Film Convention in LA in November 1973. A collector's animation cell from the episode featured a 6-fingered Spock.
Yeah.
And the bloopers, the Lamatya's head briefly disappears when Spock delivers his neck pinch. Everyone should also know, too, because some of you are just fascinated with international pronunciations and correcting one another, you guys should know that the little boy who read for this, he was given the entire script. He read the entire script and for his audition, and that's what they used. So that's how tight the budget was. And what's funny is they didn't really save money doing that, because they had to send out notes to everyone else involved with it, because DC Fontana actually didn't include the phonetic pronunciation for Achaya, and it was actually supposed to be Ichia. And so everyone had to be told. So no saving money there. And that's all I have for show notes.
Well, okay, everyone. Now it's time to Somebody already put a rating. When someone jumps before I ask for a rating, it means I can't watch the chat, so I have to go all the way back to it. Sandra there. Well, number one, what is your rating of yesteryear? I'll give mine, then I will ask our wonderful chat to give theirs.
Lore. This is DC Fontana at her finest. She is finally getting to flex her Spocky muscles. And she loves Spock, and this was her opportunity to bring more of his homeworld to us. The way that that's been portrayed in the modern sense when it comes to the filth, I'm not so happy about, but happy about the rest of it. This is, and I forgot one show note. DC Fontana based the personality of Spock Sellet on her cat, Bobby McGee. And I love it. It's Bobby McGee.
Okay.
Janis Joplin song. Sorry, that was right by my rating. I apologize. This is an A- for me.
Excellent. I'm not far off from you. I'm a B+.
Yeah,
I like it a lot. No. I mean, I really like it. Again, I think I made everyone sound like I didn't like it or something. I really do like it. I'm mad at myself for forgetting it, but I'm glad you put it in the notes. When I was watching it, every time I watch it, I think about it. When I hear the Godzilla yell, I can't help but chuckle. For the dragon thingy or whatever. Okay, let's see here. Sandra Feliciano. I hope this is the first one there. Let's see. B. No pretend brother or sister.
That's right.
Because that would be filth. It shows that time travel can have unintended consequences regardless of how careful someone is. Yep. I wish the sellout had lived. Well, of course. I always root for the animals over people. So there we go.
And Sandra's comment is really important because do you see the beginning, her preface of her argumentation? No pretend brother or sister. And I'm going to remind everyone at home that Gene Roddenberry said this is the only episode he sees as canon. And now we'll say Sandra's opener again. No pretend brother or sister. Excellent comment, Sandra. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Let's see here. Where we at? I'm trying to find the next rating. Yes. Sorry, folks. I gotta find it now because that was way up there. I hope I don't miss any. That makes me miss someone. They're that far apart. Oh yes, Liger fan. Apparently, Spock is descended from Robin, aka Nightwing. That's a reference to her name being Grayson, Dick Grayson, Robin. Rod Thunderheart.
Hey, Rod's here. Welcome, sir.
Hey, buddy. Good to see you, sir.
My fellow Canadian.
So all right, let's see. Okay, I hope I'm getting this right because, again, when one pops up so much quicker before the others, it's a problem there. Snortopoopas Cuber says.
Snortopoopas!
Let's see here. One of two. Let's see here. A, an episode that gave us much Vulcan lore, such as Sellots and the city of Shikar. Oddities note that the eyeballs are flesh colored. Yes, they often are. They always are. Except for Amanda's.
Beautiful big blue eyes.
Snort, I'll get to your second part as soon as I can. I got to keep I'm so sorry about that. When they're two-parters.
He doesn't.
Okay. A for D-Bud Martin. This is a go back in time to fix the future story done right.
Yep.
Thanks, DC. We love Dorothy Fontana.
Yep.
Having to put down my two elderly cats over the last 3 years. This one really tugged my heart on my tugged hard on my Vulcan lyre strings. Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah, I really love it. The Guardian of Forever is just the Guardian of Forever. I mean, it's a great storytelling device, and I love it. Who doesn't love the Guardian of Forever?
Indeed. Phantom Outsider.
Hey, Parrot Head, welcome.
Oh, Parrot Head. I'm way behind. I can't see if anyone pops in now because I'm having some trouble with my chat here. Okay, here we go. I got you now. Phantom Outsider. A, here's why. See, I saw the here's why and thought you were continuing something because there's no break between the A and the here. Okay, and the A, here's why. We learn Vulcan kids are jerks. Yeah, they're not. They have emotions apparently, unlike other Vulcans. They're all a bunch of japes. The Guardian likes to make those that pass through suffer. The awesome Ichaya, who sacrificed himself to save Spock. I'm trying to go too fast. I'm sorry. I'm horrible at this. Also having to make the hard choice. That is number one. I will get to the next one when I can. We're just going to take these.
So true, Phantom Outsider. That is so true, and this really highlights that the Vulcans are really trained to withhold that emotion. It's not that they are void of emotion. It's that they are trained to really keep it in check because they were once very violent, and their kids are jerks. Right. These are the little brats who would kick you in the store, kick you in the shin, and run away. So yeah, it takes a lot of training, doesn't it, Phantom Outsider?
Indeed. Let's see here. Scuba Pete says, "Hey, I really enjoyed getting a glimpse into back into Spock's adolescence. We knew it couldn't have been easy. Also, love the tie back to Sitting the Edge Forever. Absolutely. Number 2 of Snorts was Spock is wearing a very obvious Starfleet uniform under his Vulcan clothing. True. Dad man walking
I love it.
55.
So 70s though. You know what I mean? I love the outfits.
Yeah, indeed. Oh yeah. C+ for Dad man walking 55. To me, it was just meh, like filler, but that is probably just me. I gave it a higher rating because they did show that in spite of their efforts to not affect the present, that ultimately they did. Mm-hmm. A for Raymond Feliciano, a very solid episode, builds lore, very touching moments. The Orion Exos farewell.
Yep.
No. You mean the Andorian Exos?
Andorian. Yeah.
Okay, the Andorian. Knowing he is a goner, the Sellout's passing. Glad it was canon. A teddy bear, bear, referring to Journey to Babel. Yeah.
Yep.
There you go. At a KB+. I hated Spock's pet dying. Me too. Only Andorian I want is the sexiest of them all.
I love you.
RAQUEL. Imagine Imagine what they could have done with them letting TOS continue with 0 interruptions.
Right? Isn't it beautiful? If we wouldn't have had
absolutely
that season of corporate Trek and we would have had this instead, it just shows the wealth of wonderful stories that were still there. All of the inside of these repositories of wonderful stories, this nucleus of authors. Of course, Gene Kuhn didn't materialize here, but certainly DC Fontana and Gene Roddenberry did. I love your comments, Eric, and thank you so much for the compliment. I love you. Mwah.
Indeed. Mrs. Dadman walking B+. I was impressed with the deep themes: bullying, parental disappointment, death. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Mrs. Dadman walking 55. Hey. You are so welcome in this community. What a great comment.
Absolutely. We love having you here. Even though you scare us with your avatars. We're just kidding. Don't ever change them. We're just kidding. The fact Phantom Outsider continues. The fact that Sarek approved of Spock's decision, and remember, Vulcans are touch telepaths. Both adult Spock and young Spock made contact with the dying Ichaya. Their childhood friend wasn't alone in the end. Yes, it was.
And you're raising a good point, because in as much the book isn't really accurate there, is it, Phantom Outsider? The way that it is phrased, it's quite inaccurate, because it is up to the child Spock to decide to euthanize the pet, and that it can be quite traumatic, but it teaches the child to take on that responsibility to release the animal from its suffering. So love the comment, Phantom Outsider. Great to touch upon that, sir.
Indeed, Mark D with a C, the great Mark D with a C, I should say. A 5 out of 5 Sellouts. Touching episode that explores Spock's past and battles over the following following the human or Vulcan path. And this episode reveals his choice, one of 3. See here, two for Mark D with C. A Saturday morning cartoon has a young character that is forced to make a difficult choice over his pet with a message of compassion.
Agreed.
Yes.
I love Mark so much. He and I think so much alike. I just love him so much. He's so terrific.
This quote has an outstanding message. By understanding every life comes to an end when time demands it. Loss of life is to be mourned, but only if the life was wasted. Chaya's was not.
That's a direct quote, isn't it? Because that sounds like the direct quote.
Oh, he does a lot of direct quotes.
I absolutely love that moment. It's a real teaching moment and a wonderful moment for a young child.
Indeed. A-. Simply a great Trek episode and one that would have fit very well in a live actions of fourth season, says the great Chris Persia. Yes. Thank you so much.
Agreed, Chris. Agreed.
Indeedishness. Pat S. Yo, bro. What's up? B+, so smart for a kiddie cartoon. Yep. The first episode I saw. There you go. I think it actually aired first. I think it might have aired first, if I remember right. I'm not sure.
Well, there was the thing going on with Takei. He was running for office, and people were sort of mucking around with him about whether or not he was supposed to be heard or seen extra over the people who he was running for or running against, I mean, and that's why that sort of happened. So it aired on October 20th, 1973. And Beyond the Farthest Stars, September 8th, 1973. But there are others from September as well. So.
Oh, gotcha. Well, I guess we're ready to move on to our next episode, if you are. I think, well, J.D. Lewis just popped in. J.D. Lewis.
Welcome.
Said Yesteryear's the best episode of the animated series and is easily in the all-time top list of any Star Trek series, A-. Thank you, J.D. I've not seen JD here before, but nice. I know you're from. I've communicated with the JD Lewis before on Facebook. I don't know if it's the same one, but it is great to have you here. Welcome. We appreciate you, and I appreciate your rating.
So nice to see you. Yeah, and I love Snortapoopus. Snortapoopus says, "Rest in peace, cousin Ichaya."
Yes.
Or if you were saying it the proper way, the way that DC Fontana wanted us to say it, is Ichia. Chia.
Oh, well. They didn't tell the actor. They didn't tell the actors that. Oh, well, are we ready for our next episode, number 1?
We are. And that would take us to page 42 of Star Trek, The Official Guide to the Animated Series. We're on season 1, episode 3. One of Our Planets is Missing, written by Mark Daniels, directed by Hal Sutherland. A new phenomenon. The Enterprise intercepts the cloud as it approaches Alondra. Eric notes the spatial body size is twice the diameter of Saturn, Jupiter, and Neptune. So it's big. Spock adds that the cloud is a strange combination of matter and energy like nothing ever encountered before. The cloud engulfs Alondra and feasts on the planet, literally, before changing course to its next meal, Mantilles. Kirk is now faced with a dilemma. Should he alert the planet's population and risk causing widespread panic to give those who can escape a chance to evacuate? It's now the Enterprise's turn to be enveloped in the cloud, which releases a mist that begins to drain the ship's power. Ever the scientist, Spock theorizes the cloud is alive. The mist is also discovered to be breaking down the Enterprise into small digestible bits, leading Spock to suggest they are inside the cloud's body. Kirk thinks it has a stomach. Maybe they can give it indigestion to slow down its advance on Mantilles, which is now evacuating its children. Before they are able to test Kirk's digestion plan, they encounter exploding antimatter villi, threat number 3 from those keeping count at home. Scott comes to the rescue and transports a piece of the villi into a status field, then releases it into the engines, and the Enterprise stops losing power. Kirk decides if the cloud is alive, they must destroy the brain, which leads to gasps from the crew and its regulation quoting from Spock. Kirk faces a new conundrum about whether he is making the right decision to willfully take a life in order to save 82 million people. Spock informs the captain that the Enterprise's weapons will not be enough to destroy the brain, but blowing up the ship would do the trick. Kirk agrees, and as Scotty prepares, the captain pulls one more trick out of his sleeve, suggesting Spock mind meld with the phenomenon. Usually, using the Enterprise's sensors to expand his thoughts, the Vulcan is successful in making contact and argues on the crew and the planet's behalf. On Spock's suggestion, the Cloud views the Enterprise through the science officer's eyes and learns it's killing innocent beings. The Cloud stops, and Spock convinces it to return to its own galaxy. The Enterprise is saved. Mantilles is saved, and a new galactic threat has been averted, all in a day's work for the crew.
And that's it.
Lots
more in the book, but definitely
yes.
too much for us to cover here. So
let's talk about it.
Oh, absolutely. Apollo meets Minion. Hey.
And Popper.
Of course. Lovely to see you, my dear. Great to see that. I really like this episode a lot. If you want to say it's kind of maybe took some liberties with Spock's mind meld abilities, I guess you could, but in contrast to Beyond the Farthest Star, this is a being that in some ways similar, even though it's a cloud thingy, and hey, it's a good cloud. This cloud wasn't evil, and however, it was threatening to destroy. And we all, by the way, another reference to the ultimate, in this case, the Ultimate Computer, the episode with the character of Bob Wesley, who had left Starfleet, must have been right after that, what went on with in the Ultimate Computer, to become the governor of the planet with Mantilles or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. Which I thought was pretty interesting, even though it was not the same actor was doing the voice, of course. I found this to be just, again, a deep episode in the sense that here we are Saturday morning and we have this in other hands, and it just would have been some monster just destroying things and stuff. Just as the way they were even to actually create empathy, at least in some, with the ending of Beyond the Farthest Star. Here you have a being that doesn't know, because again, it's so alien to us. It does not know that it's destroying others. And then when Spock is able to communicate that to the being, it has no desire to hurt anyone. And I love that about it. Again, that is very Star Trek. And yet Kirk was ready to, and he was right. If he had to, he would have to destroy the thing, that he did not want to do it.
Well, it's an interesting idea to debate one life over 82 million. And certainly,
yes.
If you've ever taken a philosophy or ethics course, that would definitely be a subject you would visit, and certainly there would be spirited debate within the classroom about the outcome of such actions, and certainly in an awful lot of first-year law classes as well. So it's definitely an interesting circumstance. That's for sure.
Absolutely. And again, on a 1973 Saturday morning TV show. Cartoon.
Yes.
So,
yes. Exactly.
Again, just more testament to how ahead of its time Star Trek always is, and real Trek, of course. So, show notes.
This is the first time the inside nacelles or nacelles of the Enterprise appear on screen. I'm going to pronounce it both ways because everybody is so finicky. The images the Cloud watched on the Enterprise view screen were of another Filmation show, Lassie's Rescue Rangers, illustrated by George Wheeler. Wheeler was a Disney artist who worked on Cinderella and very much wanted to work on TAS. Despite not getting a job on the Final Frontier, some of his art ultimately found its way into the show anyways. So if you turn to page 46 of our text for this iteration of the IP, you can see the way that was achieved. In my notes, I have very Doomsday Machine meets The Fantastic Voyage. And Alan Dean Foster turned this episode into a novelette. So not even a novella, but a novelette. So, yeah.
Well, Alan Dean Foster did all of they were called back then the Star Trek logs, which were much the way James Blish adapted the episodes of the original series. Alan Dean Foster did the adaptations of the animated show.
Yeah.
So, number one, what is your rating And after I get this, I will ask our wonderful chat after I get that and get mine. Your rating for one of our planets is missing.
So for this one, I think that this is actually an A, except for the fact that I'm going to deduct quite a few points for the fact that we revisit the idea of the Doomsday Machine meets Fantastic Voyage. And if you watched Fantastic Voyage when you were a kid, of course, you know, you get shrunken down, you get...
I love that. I love that movie, by the way.
You get, yeah, and then, you know, you sort of find your way out of a human body. So that sort of idea was very, very well worn at the time, shall we say. And it was revisited in a bunch of comedies and in lots of children's shows. So because of that Fantastic Voyage aspect of it, I have to reduce its grade from an A to just a B. It's a great episode, but wow, that Fantastic Voyage, reusing that, and the Doomsday Machine, I think was not the right way to go.
Well, I've always liked Fantastic Voyage, the film. I never, until you mentioned it, I never made any kind of correlation whatsoever in any way, because it doesn't remind me of them going in, being, I don't think they're not shrunken. They don't go inside a human body. I just don't see a connection to that. I give this one an A-, actually.
Ooh, very good, very good.
But because I just like the content. And again, I know you could say, well, Spock is not touching anything; he's reaching his arms out when he makes his mind meld. But I really like
very Baptist preacher at that point. You sort of feel like you're at church. It's quite cute. He just reaches his arms out, and it's very Pentecostal, and
he's praising God. Yeah,
yeah.
And I love that. I just love the fact that it was unlike in contrast, you know, to the one where we had the evil, malevolent, entity in just 2 episodes previous. You had an entity that was not evil. It was just different. And I love that concept. So I'm an A- on that. Now I would ask our illustrious chat to give me your ratings on One of Our Planets is Missing. And it was kind of cool to see Bob Wesley, even though it was not the same actor voice. He didn't really look like him or anything. But
yeah.
Then again, Bob Wesley was also Commander Giotto in Devil in the Dark, so the actor. So I'm waiting. We will see if we get some reviews from our friends in the chat. Let's see.
Darren,
there they go. Let's see. I think this is the first one. It'll be the Snortmeister.
Snortapoopus!
B+ for Snortapoopus. Another massive space something that threatens a Federation planet.
Exactly.
Yeah, that never happened. Does the Federation take out insurance policies for this type of thing? That you never know. Maybe they do. At least this time they reason with the something. And by the way, it's great to have one that's just a rotten something and have one that's a something that can be reasoned with. I like it. Either way works. And that's Star Trek for you.
Yeah, very intelligent comment, Snortapoopus. I absolutely love it.
B+. Yes, this was like Fantastic Voyage. Was the Unity Syndrome sort of like that too? Then I don't know. Anyway, but they went inside of a cloud thingy, and at least it wasn't like Obsession. That was a nasty cloud, and they didn't even talk to him. It said, "Screw you! I'm just going to eat stuff." This is a Fantastic Voyage, but into wait a minute. There's one reason why it wasn't like Fantastic Voyage. There was no Raquel Welch, which that was we could deduct points for that. But into a giant cloud creature, definitely a story that budget-wise could only be done animated.
Yeah.
The mind meld is reminiscent of the Horde. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, actually, yeah. D. Bud Martin, thank you for that. And they call him Scuba Pete. B+. Spock mind melding was very funny. Try the fella. The fella. I'll be here all night, folks.
I love you, Scuba Pete.
Oh, Scuba. There we go. You post some cool stuff, by the way. I have to say, Scuba, you got some kind of collection there.
I love him.
Oh, you got some amazing in his collection there.
Yeah.
Phantom Outsider B, a truly alien life form that didn't know it was eating sentient beings. When it finds out, it immediately stops and returns home. Remember, Spock could sense V'ger despite distance 1.
Yeah.
See. Killing the creature was only going to be a last resort. The fact they knew that the news would cause panic on the planet. It was. Let's see. If it was like Fantastic Voyage, when did Kirk grope Raquel. They couldn't animate that, dude. Sorry. They couldn't afford her.
Yeah. Well, it's very Magic School Bus, and it's that fantastic voyage concept, and if you read a lot and you watched a lot of shows from this time, that's very well played out. The sort of, let's give it indigestion, let's throw it up, and Miss Frizzle could have taken you on this adventure.
Our Feliciano Raymond says, "Hey, this was a good episode. Love the moral dilemma. The view of the engines was great." And yeah, it was. And you can tell Wesley has some PTSD from the off computer, one of two. That's what I was thinking. I can't find your second one. Maybe I can. By the way, I think the fact the Fantastic Voyage theme was used because Funimation also did the cartoon Fantastic Voyage.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. It was a very popular idea at the time. It was there was also even a live action show. I forget who hosted it. It wasn't Vincent Price, but it explored the inside of the body, and you could watch it on I think on PBS. And it's just at the time that was a very well visited idea. So that's the only reason why I sort of claw back my grade.
Scuba Pete says B+. Spock mind melding was very funny. Oh, I already got that one. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I went back too far.
That's okay.
Erg. There we go. Okay. Wow. Doug 35. D+ was basically D+ was basically immunity syndrome without the good parts. The ending saves it from a D. Wow.
Okay. Woo. Doug's getting vicious.
Well, he gave the last one an A, so there you go.
Yeah.
Way it goes. A Dead Man Walking 55. B+. Sophisticated writing. The weight of the decision of whether or not to evacuate came through.
Yeah.
Amazing how the crew kept composure, knowing they were in the belly of a being. Yes. A good
Agreed.
point. Phantom Outsider. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry, but I'll get to that one. I didn't know you had that. Thing jumped on me here, folks. Oh, man, did it jump on me.
It's okay. Happens sometimes.
All right. Oh, I'm almost there, Sandra. Again. Oh, yeah. No, I've got that. Here we go. Sandra. It jumped on me. I'm sorry about that. B from Sandra. Pretty well done, but a remake of Spock's being inside a giant cell.
Yeah.
Yeah, immunity syndrome. One had to be destroyed. The other could be saved. Another story where a planet was threatened by a hungry creature. Well, yeah, that works for me.
Dun-dum,
Let's see.
dun-dum.
Boom, 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 boom. Okay, Mrs. Dadman Walking. B+. Once again, deep subject for a Saturday morning show. Absolutely.
Yep.
Who to choose, Lucy? Who to choose to save? Who to choose to save on the planet? Yes, there was interesting. Choosing to kill the entity, sacrificing the lives of the crew for the lives of the planet. Saturday morning ethics class.
Yeah. Yeah, and Mrs. Dadman Walking 55 raises a good point because that is what was transpiring on the planet. People had to decide, and it was children first.
Yes, absolutely. 3 epilogue. Another proof that there are badass amoeba out there. From Raymond. Let's see here. Eric K. B. They kind of did this with the big amoeba, meaning immunity syndrome again, everyone. It was good, but Spock beaming his mind out. I just think we're gonna have. I think somebody would mention that. I would have had him and Uhura try to communicate some other way. Well, okay, can't really give you too much on that one. Give you too much of a guff on that one there. Mark D with a C. A-. Another very deep cartoon episode for quote unquote kids. Interesting sci-fi concepts, although it rehashes other stories.
Agreed.
Thoughtful solution and a great job by Spock convincing the creature to go vegan.
I love you, Mark.
Indeed, he's the man. You're the man, Mark. Oh, Deadman Walking 55. B plus. Sophisticated writing. The weight of the decision of whether or not to evacuate came through. Amazing how the crew kept composure knowing they were in the belly of a being. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm outsider finishing up. Looks like we found out where Fox got the idea for Gas Cloud Galactus. Yeah, at least this cloud was smart. Who wouldn't care? Let's see. Who wouldn't care as he does what he does? Yeah, what is it must? Yeah, Galactus wouldn't care. You're absolutely right. Also missed from the last interview. Excuse me, the last review. Wanted to see young Spock neck pinch. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry if I missed that one. Neck pinch. A demo on those pointed-eared little devils. No. Yes, that would have been good to see.
Little brats.
Phoenix Argus, B+. It was an improvement on the first episode with a similar premise and ties it up in a more palatable fashion. Yep. However, I do not like that they took liberties with the mind melding. I thought it didn't bother me that much, but I thought someone might have some issues with that. Pat S. Somebody B+ every time Raquel says "Fantastic Voyage," all I can think of is Coolio singing "Slide, Slide, Slide." I don't even want to say that. Ugh. Slide, slide, switches on the block. I was 65. Sorry, Raquel, my ADD just slipped in. Dude, you make me say things sometimes I wish I didn't say.
Pat S. I actually love that you said this because I hate rap music. I don't like it at all. I think it's garbage music.
Agreed.
I don't like it at all. And I like that song when it comes on the radio. I crank it and slide, slide, slippity slide. So I think it's hysterical. Of course, if my daughter and my husband saw this comment in relation to my musical taste and the fact that you made that connection, they would be roaring with laughter. So love the comment, Pat.
I'm glad to say I don't know that song because I hate it as much as you do. I hate that.
Yeah.
Sandra, oh man, this thing just chat jumps. Has to go. Good night, all. It's been really busy.
No.
Okay. Sandra, thank you for being here. We appreciate you.
Good evening, milady. Thank you so much for showing up, and thank you so much for your wonderful comments. You will be missed.
I think we've got all our reviews in order there. We've got one. I think we got them, if I'm not mistaken.
All right.
All right then. Well, everyone, we're about to move on to the next episode.
We're here. Season 1, episode 4, air date September 29th.
The Lorelei Signal.
1973, right? Yeah. And I know some of the international people will be saying, no, that's Laura Lee. But for right now, I understand it's of German origin, I believe. And some of you may want to pronounce it Laura Lee, but we're going to say Lorelei.
Okay.
The Lorelei Signal, written by Margaret Arman and directed by Hal Sutherland. And we're on page 48 if you're following along. No sooner does the Enterprise arrive to investigate the mystery than a musical summons enthralls only the male members of the crew. What a weird sentence. Kirk orders the ship to its source 20 light years away, and en route, the men experience vivid hallucinations. Uhura looks on puzzled. Seems she's heard and seen nothing. Oh, that's really bad grammar. Which leads Spock to realize there is something funny going on. As he begins to recommend a course of action, a planet suddenly appears as if on cue. Its materialization deepens the effect of the spell on the men and compels Kirk to take an all-male landing party down to the planet, where he dismisses protocol and Spock's caution in order to explore. The landing party arrives at a temple where they discover countless women, all excited to make their acquaintance, and who also know their names, courtesy of their opto-odd, which is how they attracted the ship there in the first place. The women are entertaining the landing party when the men pass out. Awakening hours later, they are now wearing headbands they cannot remove, and even more concerning, have aged years. Uhura and Chapel discover the signal from the planet is how the men are being manipulated, but the duo cannot block it. Uhura takes command from Scotty, who is now singing in the center seat. Spock wants to return to the Enterprise to continue his duties. Vulcan constitution is really something, but the head female, Thela, orders the women to obstruct him. The men escape the temple and hide inside a 12-foot urn, and something fascinating occurs as the women approach. The men's headbands light up. They think maybe this is why they are weak and old. Spock returns to the temple to retrieve their communicators and contact the ship, that Vulcan constitution again, and is successful before he's discovered. Uhura takes an all-female security team down to the planet, stuns the welcoming committee, and begins to search for the men. They are unsuccessful in their quest until Chapel is contacted telepathically by Spock, who is found in a near-death state. Once back on Enterprise, Spock explains how to block the signal while Uhura returns to the planet for the rest of the landing party. Thela relents, and agrees to help the communications officer using the opto-odd, but first needs to explain why they drain the men of their force like vampires. Rain has begun to fill up the urn, threatening to drown the landing party when Uhura arrives just in time. The effects of the headband seem irreversible until Spock comes to the rescue once again, suggesting the transporter may be used to restore their original molecular pattern. And of course, it works. Uhura goes down to the planet again, destroys the opto-odd, and explains to Thela that a starship with a female crew is coming to take her people to their new home.
And that's it. Although there's a lot more in the book.
But
of course. Oh, yeah.
Way too much for us to cover here.
Of course. You know what? This episode's kind of a tragic one to me because I think it could have been really good, and they just don't really explain anything. The thing that only really saves this from me is, we get to see Uhura and Chapel, shine and get to do things and have an episode. I love how Uhura takes. I love a lot of the stuff character-wise in the episode with Uhura and Chapel. The way she takes charge and everything when she sees, rightly sees what's going on. I just don't think the story had much content. I don't think it had much of they didn't really explain very much at all. I thought it was kind of hackneyed, to be quite honest with you. And I think that damages it. And it's a shame because, you want to see an episode where, especially someone like Uhura, who never got to do a whole lot, in the original series, get to shine. So I thought it was a kind of big missed opportunity, the episode for me. But, still kind of nice. I give it a few points for that, getting to see them, these characters get to do something. I don't know what you think about that, though.
Well, I don't know. I always listen to everything that you say, and I usually agree with you, and I always think that what you have to say is valid. But I think we have a little bit of a difference here, which is odd because we usually agree on just about everything.
So you like this one then? That's what you're saying?
I do. I like it, but I like it for a different reason than perhaps the usual viewer may like it. I actually like the writing in this one. I'll just get into my show notes and maybe we can go from there.
Go for it.
Okay, so on page 52, we'll do those notes first, and then we'll move on to mine. So Nichelle Nichols, rather than Majel Barrett or Majel Barrett, however you want to say it, voices the Enterprise computer. The title of the episode pays homage to the German legend of a siren named Lorelei, or Laura Lee, whose singing lured sailors to crash. Well, that's not actually true. They might have taken that from Lorelei, but we all know where it actually comes from. Two of the main plot elements were repeated in Star Trek Voyager's Favorite Son, where women bewitched male visitors and drained their life force. Roddenberry wrote a similar treatment to the Lorelei signal, which was for a never produced episode of TOS called The Venus Planet. In the first two uniform mishaps for Chapel, her arm appears in a red uniform while she's wearing her science blues as she finds Spock on the planet. Chapel's full uniform changes from blue when she's standing on the transporter pad with the security team to red when she beams down to the planet, then back to blue again in the very next scene. While explaining how the transporter might be used to restore their bodies, Spock's voice fluctuates from signifying frailness to his usual voice. And then in my notes, I have, this is Nichelle Nichols's favorite episode. This was taken. This idea was taken from Greek mythology and the sirens in the Odyssey. These are half bird, half maidens who sang to sailors and put them in a trance and then fed on their flesh. So they were actually, basically like birds with women faces. Wish they had more variety of voices for the women in this episode. Spock is connected to Chapel. Love that he calls for her and she can hear him. This episode feels longer than the other episodes due to very well written story and very well written dialogue. Spock saves the day. And so, yeah, so I actually felt like they really hit their stride. And this wonderful lady by the name of
Margaret Arman.
Margaret Arman, yeah. I thought that she did an absolutely fabulous job of this, and I felt like this was finally the episode where the amount of time was used enough to create the story. I always feel like the Lorelei Signal is the longest episode in TAS.
Really? Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Like I said, I don't hate it. I mean, we've seen some people may not like it that much of this episode from what I've seen so far on the chat, but I just thought I didn't really think they explained very well to my satisfaction as far as what was going on that planet. I like all the other stuff in it. And I actually like him reaching out to Chapel the way he did with his mind. And again, but similar to the previous episode where he's not being a quote unquote a touch telepath. Nevertheless, they did share consciousness in Return to Tomorrow.
They sure did.
And I think that could have been something. I don't know if Margaret Arman was thinking that when they wrote it, but that was kind of what first thing I thought, because I was like, wait a minute, he could just reach his mind out to people. When did that happen? I go, wait a minute, though, he did share consciousness with her. There could be something to do with it. Again, I don't know.
Yeah, if you're wondering about the way that Margaret Arman wrote this and want to understand more about why I like it so much, I definitely recommend reading this chapter in this wonderful book, Star Trek: The Official Guide to the Animated Series. It really explains behind the scenes what was going on with the writing and what was trying to be achieved with this episode, which of course was Gene Roddenberry's story idea, the Venus planet. So yeah, I really like this one. I think that there are weaknesses to it. I think the very end of it can be pretty ham-handed when she's like, oh, before you move us to another planet, don't punish us. This is why we act like this.
Yeah.
Women have glands where we can survive. We developed an extra gland, but the men didn't. But of course, I don't see it that way. I can certainly see how other people see it that way, but you have to understand, I am a massive fan of Homer, and I absolutely love the Odyssey. And so for me, I cannot divorce that from watching the Lorelei Signal, because my mind is filling in the blanks toward this greater story, this greater narrative that has been a huge part of my life. So that may be a shortcoming for me. But
not at all. Believe me, there's no right or wrong anyway. But I mean, again, I don't really hate it or anything. I think I just found, as far as, I kind of needed some explanation of what was really going on with the story. For me, it fell a little bit short in explaining that to me, but it could just be me being a dope and missing something.
No, I don't think so. I just think that, like, for this one, the reason why I defend the writing is Clobby, I don't feel like I hit the ground running on this episode. And, in the beginning of this book, you can actually hear and read how the authors of these episodes were really struggling with hitting the ground running too hard, and it sort of feels like, instead of landing the plane, you sort of just like you you bump really hard and perhaps scrape your bum. And for this one, I didn't feel like there was a big bump or a butt scrape. I felt like we landed smoothly and we came into the story really well. But of course, I do concede that we lose some on the back end because of that, and we leave the story a little too abruptly. So the timing is once again it's a factor. So I concede that.
Well, remember there were many times when we were reviewing original series episodes, when we were doing that, where I would tell you, even an episode that I thought was uneven or had a problem here and there, I would always very often say great character moments. I mean, even an episode that I thought was flawed. And I think in this case, my favorite thing about the episode is, like I say, is that Uhura and Chapel, they're really great in the episode. What they do, what Uhura says, I'm assuming command of the ship. I love that because I love the character and I love them, and they never got to do enough back then. And this was one where they got to shine. I could understand why you say how is Nichelle Nichols' favorite. And so I think it has great character moments. They finally got to shine, and I like a lot of things about it. So yeah, I mean, and that was my favorite thing about it was with the ladies got to take over and save the day.
Yes, and they all look beautiful doing it.
Absolutely,
there is so much cosplay that could happen here. It's just I just absolutely love it. But yeah, anyways,
Indeed.
Guilty pleasure.
Hey, nothing to feel good about. In fact, I would love to have your rating right now. I will give mine, then I will ask our illustrious chat to give theirs.
Yeah, so I'm going to concede. This is an inverted take on this compression and the brevity required to fit this much story into this little space. That said, I'm going to go ahead and give this an A-. I love the dialogue in this, and I love the way that we come into the story. Perhaps the weakness would be going out of the story, and I could certainly see how others would dock the story accordingly.
Well, nothing wrong with that. And again, I give this one a C+ because I do like the characterization stuff in it. I just thought the story could have been handled better. But Dadman Walking jumped the gun on me. Anytime you guys do one early on me, it complicates matters. But I'm going to go ahead and allow it because I like you. I'm teasing. I'm teasing, but it does make it kind of tough to get to the chat when that happens. But Dadman Walking, we appreciate you. So even though you like scaring us with your avatar. A-. Well, look at there. You got another high rating. Look at you. Just out of the box. You get another high rating that agrees with you. A-. Dadman Walking 55 says, my favorite episode of the 4 that I've watched.
Yeah.
Plus, it should dispel the jokes that the red shirts always die, which is, by the way, statistically not true. The entire female security detail wore red. Just enjoyed it. Yeah, and I actually love that part as well.
Yeah.
When they all went down there and kicked some,
Yeah. And I would be interested in knowing, Dadman, if you too also love Homer, because it's quite a wonderful tribute to the Odyssey. So much fun. I'm certain that the men would have loved to have had some of that wax or tied themselves to the mast, as it were. So yeah, excellent comment. Thank you so much, my friend.
Well, the first thing that popped in my head when, of course, Laura, because Sirens kind of popped into my head too, and there's a great episode of Red Dwarf called Sirens that I guess a lot of people have done a variation on this type of story in science fiction. Okay, make sure I haven't missed anyone. Everyone, when there's an early one, it really throws me off. Let's see. Hey, don't worry about that, Dad, man. I was messing with you. I'm just saying, it takes me. I just hope I have not missed any, but in between yours there. So give me a second, everyone. Dad, man, look, I shouldn't even mention it, but it does help me when you guys wait for me there. Doug 35. There you go. Dad, man, do not even mention it. You could scare me with that avatar all the time because we love having you. Doug 35, D. Or is it D-? Maybe it means D-. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Exactly for reason Raquel said. A nothing burger outside of the Homer reference, and the Uhura line that Kirk was as handsome as ever. You didn't like that line? Didn't bother me.
I liked it because it showed that she was in charge and wasn't afraid of.
Yeah, the whole transporter pattern buffer thing. Kind of was that the Ex Machina type thing or something? I don't know. Scuba Pete. Oh, that Scuba's with you. Look, see? You got, you're getting high ratings so far. A. like the interpretation of the siren song, which, by the way, is Girls Just Want to Have Lunch. Weird Al. Yep, I love Weird Al. Enjoyed Uhura taking charge from Scotty's saving the day. Disco escape music.
And the outfits, the disco outfits. Scuba Pete. Scuba Pete, I love you, Scuba Pete. Mwah, mwah, I love you.
Pat S says, B, hold up. Okay. Oh, no, you want to continue reading? Okay. Do I read or do I hold up? Dude, what is it? It's 1973. The first movie, Star Trek The Motion Picture, is in 79. So, in 5 years, Nurse Chapel applied to, got into, and finished medical school, a residency, to become a doctor in 5. No, that doesn't. No, there was 73 when the thing was aired, but it was really taking place somewhere after the 3rd year of the original series. You could almost say season 4 in a sense.
But if Nurse Chapel had a PhD in nursing or a master's degree in nursing,
but yes,
she could have fitted in, because of course she would be going back to graduate school, not undergraduate school, right?
Yeah,
but that's I don't know.
And there was only a couple of years between, at least the end of the 5-year mission and motion picture, Pat. So yeah, maybe lesser time than that. But she, again, like you said, she may have been working on it while she was on the Enterprise. We don't know.
Yep. Yeah, and it also depends upon what kind of nurse she is, right?
Yep. So there, Pat. No, I'm just kidding.
No, we're not saying
that. Kidding. Pat knows. He's not funny. Final Outsider B gave the ladies in the crew an episode to shine in. Although that Vase, what is VAC? Uhura destroyed was that vase. I guess you were talking about Vase. Yeah. Uhura destroyed was an ancient historical artifact. But she was holding a phaser, and no one said anything. Of course, the number 1. I'm going to... Oh, God, this thing jumps on me. Sorry, everyone. I'll find the second part, Phantom Outsider, in due course, my friend.
Yeah.
D-Bud Martin, B-. Girl power without... sorry, I'm going to say a word you don't like. Sorry. Wokeness that makes sense without wokeness, where it makes sense with the plot. I liked the Trek way that they fixed the aging problem. That made sense too. The transporter memory should go back a few instances.
I love that comment, D-Bud Martin, and I really, really love that it's not forced. There's no large marge here enforcing the power of the girl. So yeah, love it, D-Bud Martin.
Indeed. Mrs. Dadman's Walking, number 50. Now, interesting, a lesser rating than Dadman's. We haven't, but not far off, but a little bit less. B-, not my favorite. Not sure why. Like that female officers were highlighted, but just could not get engaged. Well, that's fair enough. Still, that's a nice rating. There you go. And again, JT Kirk, warp factor 7.8 out of 9. No, bunch of 9s. The uniform hair color is just a bit weird. Well, yeah, the animation sometimes, they were working with very limited budget on the animation. Let's see here. And by the way, the hair color thing I'll be addressing in our next review, in a sense. Eric K, B-. Yep. Star Trek does the Odyssey of Odysseus on the island of Circe with the splash of Calypso and sirens. Only not so good. Well, B- isn't a bad rating.
No, it's not.
Snortapoopers. 1 of 3. C. Uhura finally takes command after being overlooked in Cat's Paw. The women on the planet aren't very efficient searchers. Again, the transporter is a Deus Machina. Oh, well, yeah, that's what I was thinking. I guess kind of it was a little plot device there, was it not?
I don't know. Did God save the day? Did they get in the very last second? Did they get an out that? Well, I don't know. I'll go back and think about that, because my snort of a poopus is usually a very insightful man.
No, I just think that's being stretched as that's being that phrase is being warped to just talk about something that's kind of a easy plot device or a contrivance, I suppose.
Yes.
You're right. The phrase has been warped and reshaped to go somewhere else. But yes.
Yes.
In that case, that's what they, you know,
that's
for like
because of the stupid Latin, right? They should just leave it as it is in Greek, and it's just, you know, God in the machine. Is it at the end? Does something let them off of the hook? And
yes,
you know,
right, the easy control, the easy out.
Yes, the sky opens up, and all problems are solved.
Hey, we can fix this with the transporter. Good, we don't need sick bay anymore.
Yeah, I would support that, with the exception of the fact that then later on, this is a seminal moment for the IP, because then later on we do see corrective measures happening within the pattern buffer, and with these transporter. With the information in the transporter on many occasions in Star Trek. Interesting conversation. Snortopoopas.
And you know, another point to be made is you go, hey, animated series, and this is not the only time, did something that was later used in other iterations of Star Trek. So,
yep.
2 of 3. Kirk gets a gratuitous compliment from Uhura at the end. You're more handsome than ever. It didn't bother me. I mean, you know, let's see here. Arden Feliciano, C, enjoyed women kicking ass, and that's all about it. Yeah. But that's all about it. Yeah, this one didn't excite me.
Yeah,
look at those chicks. What's talking about? That's good. Good job. Snort is number 3. 3 of 3. It doesn't seem like something a junior officer would say to a captain, and seems out of character for Uhura. Okay. Well,
I accept that, but Snortopoopas, Uhura is not a junior officer.
No, she's not.
No.
A Doug 35. D-. Oh, yeah, okay, it was correct to me because I wasn't sure when, earlier. Thank you. Mark D with a C. C+. The good, Uhura and Chapel in charge and helping to save the day. The bad, male life force training wasn't well explained. That's 1 of 2.
Yeah. Using Homer's too much, relying on the fact that people love Homer and they're familiar with the concept. So yes, point taken. I concede this, Mark.
Let's see here. And although it references a classic story, the De Ex Machina is too. There's the abuse of that term again. You're all fired, but I did it first. It's too simple, and the story is flawed. But yeah, okay. But there are actually episodes though of the series, which, even though just like with the original series, that are patently ridiculous. This one is just one that was kind of muddled with some of the story.
Yep.
Did you have doggy trouble? Did you need to take care of that?
No, I think she should be okay. I'm sorry if you could hear her.
Oh no, that's okay. Hey, doggy.
I often worry that you guys can hear her coughing too, because of course she is. We are caring for her because she has congestive heart failure. So sometimes she lays beside me and she coughs, and I am often worried that you all can hear that.
And it wouldn't matter if we did. We'd be fine with it.
She's a lovely little Chihuahua. She's 13 years old, and she has to have heart medication 5 times a day.
Well, we like doggies. Dad Man answers earlier. Yes, I love the Odyssey. Not just the sirens, but also is that how you say Scylla? How you say that?
It's okay. It's okay.
Right,
it doesn't matter. But
I'm not going to pronounce stuff. Don't make me pronounce stuff, dude.
Don't worry about it. I just wanted him to tip his hand there. Yes, it's quite wonderful, isn't it?
Uhura saying more handsome than ever was odd. The follow-up.
People don't like that.
Weird. I guess I noted it when I watched it again, because I just never really thought about it that much. So I watched it again the other day, and I was like, okay. The follow-up, it kind of made me laugh. In fact, when I heard it, I was like, is she harassing him? No. The follow-up in headcanon, the ladies weren't. The follow-up in headcanon, the ladies were sent to Ryza. Oh, yeah. Oh!
That's a very good headcanon.
Arrived after the short leave. Yes.
It's important, though, for people to remember at home, though, that Gene Roddenberry is on record as saying that Uhura was 4th in command. So the thing is that there may be what feels like an uncharacteristic latitude being taken here, or that she's behaving out of character. But for me, of course, knowing that Gene Roddenberry was very forceful in saying that she was fourth in command, I love the fact that she says that to him, because it's a very Bones moment. We see her finally as this inner circle, a part of the bridge crew, and she sort of makes fun of him a little bit. She says, "Yeah, you're looking as handsome as ever," because I mean he was a wrinkled up old prune, right? So I enjoy that she says that, but everybody has their own reading of it, and they're entitled.
Sure.
Yeah.
No problemo. Bruce Lombardo. Good to see you, brother. Hail.
Hey.
Let me see. I think what's it? I think we got all our review, all our ratings. Last call for ratings, because we got one more episode to do.
We do.
And I do believe you've got all of our ratings here. Let's see.
Phoenix Argus.
Liger fan, thank you for being here. Good to see you.
Is Liger fan leaving?
Yes. Thank you all for being here, Liger fan. Always a pleasure. Did I miss Phoenix?
Yeah, I think you missed Phoenix.
Where that be? Let's see. If you're seeing it, maybe you could tell me.
32 minutes past the hour. See, even though I do like that the women get a chance to shine on their own in this episode. However, they couldn't decide to use genetic engineering and find suitable mates off-world to solve the lack of men. The lonely women's signal. Love it, Phoenix.
Oh, there we go.
Lovely.
We'll do like women's they're on this episode. Okay, there's more. Okay, here we go. Thank you. However, they couldn't just decide to use genetic engineering and find suitable mates off-world. Wait, I'm an idiot. I read too fast. Sorry, everyone. To solve the lack of men to have three.
Yes, and then he hashtag the lonely women's signal. He wants to rename the episode. So
see,
it's very obvious to me that many of you, your grudge against this episode is that it relies too much on the presupposition that everyone would know what's happening in the Odyssey. And I do have to concede that you are correct, because every single time I go to defend this episode, I am thinking about the Odyssey. Like I'm thinking to myself, yes, most certainly these lovely women could have used genetic engineering to find suitable mates off-world. Just as sirens did not have to drive men out of their mind and eat them. They probably could have eaten other things in the sea. But do you see how my concessions always go back to the Odyssey and not the Lorelei signal? So it is funny how much this episode heavily relies on the presupposition that or the tacit idea that the people are familiar with the Odyssey. So point well taken by this so-and-so from this wonderful community.
Well, hey, no, look. No one ever has to any rationalize any episode they like or anything like that. And like I say, there are episodes we're going to get to at some point that I don't like, and I'll slam the hell out of them. But this one's not one of them. There are things I like in it. So me, I'll be brutal to one if I have to.
Yeah, D. Bud Martin says, yes, I agree, Raquel. I also associate this story with the Odyssey. Yeah, and D. Bud Martin, where I definitely think that those who enjoy this episode, that I think that is the heart of it. I think that's where the affection for the episode comes from, is that it's the song of the Odyssey. You picture the sirens. You picture Odysseus tying himself to the mast and cramming stuff in his ears so he doesn't wind up dinner. So it's crazy, but it's crazy how much the human mind fills in the blanks.
Adidasness. Well, are you ready to get to our final episode of the evening?
Well, before we get to the next episode of the evening, I would just like to point to Pat S. at 36 minutes past the hour, who says, true, but people taste like pork.
I thought it was chicken. I thought they taste like chicken, dude. That's what Hannibal Lecter said, chicken. Or no,
Phantom Outsider says, real Star Trek respects the audience and figures we'd know these old myths as the crew knows Shakespeare. Phantom Outsider, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Love you.
Yes,
love you. Great.
Indeed.
And Phoenix Argus says, I'm not treating it in regards of the Odyssey, but in regards as to another sentient race. Yes, Phoenix Argus, yes.
Oh, yeah.
I merely wanted to reflect on how your argument is based on the episode, and it's so intelligent, and you're so capable of describing why it just doesn't make it over the mark for you. Whereas when I go to defend the episode, I go to Homer, and Homer's super easy to defend, right? So in that way, what I'm saying is I'm making a rhetorical concession to the fact that your opinion is based solely on the episode, where my opinion is based on Homer. It's not quite fair, is it? So just merely recognizing the quality of your rhetoric and the lack of quality in mine.
Actually, I've consulted Homer, and Homer said, I'm sick of people ripping my story off for animated for Saturday morning cartoons, damn it. No. JT Kirk. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. JT Kirk says, not feeling great again,
Still
retiring
not
to bed.
feeling good. Hey, will you please
fun.
have a cup of tea or have a glass of water, please?
Hey.
And JT Kirk, you're a good friend of this community, and I hope that you're feeling better, and I hope you have someone to take care of you. And we'll see you next week, okay? Mwah. Feel better, my friend.
We appreciate you very much, and thank you for the kind words, and we hope you feel better, my friend. Absolutely. Get some rest there, and again, if you're still listening, thank you. And thank you for being here. Thank you all for being here, of course. Okay, well, are you ready to, number one, are you ready to push on?
Let's do it.
The next
season
episode?
1, episode 5, air date October 6th, 1973. More tribbles, more troubles.
Yeah.
And if you're joining us with the text, please turn to page 54. The crew learns to be careful what they wish for as the Enterprise gets a close-up look at the new weapon. After destroying a one-man scout ship, the Klingons turn their attention on the Enterprise. The new Klingon weapon generates a disruption stasis field, paralyzing the Enterprise, disabling its antimatter generators, and making its weapons useless. Captain Koloth demands Kirk hand over the occupant of the scout ship, whom Scotty has yet to materialize. Kirk denies the request and orders the grain ships to ram the Klingons. The amount of energy required to use the weapon on the 3 ships is too much, and the Klingons retreat after disabling one of the grain ships. Scotty is finally able to materialize the ship's occupant. It's Serrano Jones, and he brought tribbles. Jones explains his tribbles are now safe as they no longer reproduce. But wait, there's more. As he introduces the Glommer, a new tribble predator. The intergalactic traitor and nuisance explains he does not know why the Klingons are after him. And all he did was, wait for it, sell the Klingons tribbles. McCoy confirms the tribbles no longer reproduce like rabbits. They just get fat and become too much for the predator to handle, the predator being the Glommer. The Klingons return, disable the second grain ship, and resume their attack on the Enterprise, but with only conventional weapons. Spock theorizes the disruption field weapon needs time to recharge. Barrels of grain from the robot ships fall through the corridors of the Enterprise during the attack, and the tribbles take advantage of the buffet. The Klingons' new weapon is recharged and once again traps the Enterprise. Koloth orders his crew to prepare to board the Starfleet ship when Spock simultaneously suggests emergency plan B, beaming tribbles into the Klingon ship and effectively disabling the attack. Koloth explains the Emperor is prepared to go to war if their predator is not returned, and Kirk acquiesces. The captain notes the new weapon is not very practical, while McCoy explains the tribbles. They become colony creatures as they continue to eat, a fact that the Klingons learn the hard way when their phaser blast results in hundreds of tribbles. On the Enterprise, a quick shot of neoethylene breaks down the tribbles on board. who once again fall on top of Kirk. And it's quite a little humorous moment there at the end. I do have to say, sometimes I find the writing odd in this book. Why would someone open a paragraph, speaking of an episode, with the crew learns to be careful what they wish for as the Enterprise gets a close-up look at the new weapon? It should be a new weapon.
Oh, okay.
So very there is some troublesome grammar here, folks. Anyways, I'm going to be quiet because I'm being ridiculously nerdy.
No problem.
Writing aside, right? A grammar aside. Yeah. What did you think of this episode, boss?
It was I don't know, it was an attempt to try to seek how sequels can be sometimes. I don't think it's as good as a thing it's trying to be a sequel to, but it's kind of nice to see them try to do a lighter, humorous episode. After those first four, throw in a lighter hearted episode, which was kind of cool. I thought at first I was wondering if they were mispronouncing Quadro Triticale by calling it Quinto Triticale, but they were sort of. But I think maybe Quinto's different from the Quadro.
I know, but I just think it's so funny because Mark and I always, we've had a couple of conversations where it's just like when you're reading something instead of just saying something, it comes out with phonics, especially if it's made up. And I feel for the cast because it's quite funny. Anyway.
Oh yeah. Well, I just watched this one tonight and then I watched it again right before we came on with the David Gerald commentary and learned all kind of fascinating things about the episode.
Lovely.
And I don't know if you have notes on these two. We can compare notes on this one because I didn't do notes like you do because I don't do that sort of thing. But I can tell you why the tribbles are pink.
That's really cool. If you do that, boss, will you do me a favor? Will you please throw up on the movie marquee Scuba Pete's comment at 43 minutes past the hour?
Oh, I thought you were telling me to throw up on a marquee. I'm like, oh,
no.
Okay. What number again? Where's it again?
43 minutes past the hour.
Oh, yeah. Does everyone want to know why they're pink?
Yes, go ahead.
I don't know. Well, David Gerald said that the one of the colorist, which is kind of weird if this is his job, at Filmation was colorblind.
Oh, really? I heard he just loved pink.
But if that's the case, how is all the other colors usually normal? But anyway, maybe he's just the one in charge of painting. And they have many, many animators and many, many painters. He saw the original episode and just decided they would be pink, but everything kind of. They were in a hurry. Their deadlines and things like that. They just realized they're all, because Gerald said no. What did you when he looked at it? Like, they're supposed to be, brown or kind of a kind of a off brown. They just made them pink. So they said, well, there's nothing we can do about it now.
Oh,
which is also he told the story about how Sherman's planet from Tribbles. He was in college. And he had a lady friend. I don't know if they were dating at the time or whatever it was, but they were friends with. Her name was Sherman, so he named the planet after her. And he also named, do you know why tribbles are furry? She wore a necklace that had like this little furry thing hanging from it. He thought of her. So he's even said, so somewhere out there, a bit of Star Trek lore, a woman that I knew in college could say that's based on me.
Oh, wow. It's funny you should say that because whenever I think of this, and certainly our listeners down under in Oz would probably agree. Every single time they bring up the tribbles, one thinks of the disasters that have happened by introducing invasive species in Australia, and you think about the problem they have with mice. And rats, and it's just whenever I think of that, I think of invasive species, and I definitely think of Australia and their struggles. So it's very, very interesting that he sat down to dinner and was inspired by this, and I'm always thinking about these horrific documentaries where you see billions, no hyperbole, billions of mice and rats just ravaging Australia with no native species to take it out. Certainly, I'm certain that everyone in Australia would really love a glommer.
Well, there you go. You know, and by the way, it was genetically engineered, of course. But by the way, Mark D says the book explains it. Says he's not colorblind. Well, someone needs to explain that to David Gerald because he says it in the commentary on the Blu-ray. And that Blu-ray is relatively new. That was 2016 when the first time. That may have been from an earlier documentary, but it was him doing the commentary. So I'm pretty sure it was for that, either for that Blu-ray, unless the old DVD set, which I have, I can't remember, has a Gerald commentary. I can't remember. Either way, David Gerald seems to think that. He also told the story, Raquel, when how when he was in the building at Filmation, a bunch of teenagers were being given a tour, and Lou Scheimer asked him to go meet with them because they were Trek fans or whatever. He said this kid kept trying to tell him how he wanted to do a Trouble sequel and all of his ideas for it. And he said, I tried to tell him 3 different times, we've already sold that. That episode's already made. It's going to be airing. And he tried, and the guy wouldn't listen. Well, about a year, not too long after that, after the episode aired, was it Roddenberry got a letter from this kid claiming that Gerald stole the story from him.
Oh, wow.
And he went to Lou Scheimer with it. And he said, could you just not let me have to talk to any fans or anything like that, because the guy was out there. He said I tell that to other writers that don't, it's kind of tough when you run into people. If you talk to them too much about your work, they'll accuse you of stealing from them and all that other kind of stuff. So
yeah,
weird. So again, you might be.
Huh? So don't share your stories unless you've got them, unless you've got them in the can. But yeah, Mark D with the C. Yeah, on page 58 of the text here, it's these are the notes, and you can take these for what they're worth. Even though it was the 5th episode to air, More Tribbles was the first to be produced. So this is where production order comes in handy. This was one of 3 episodes the entire cast recorded together, all on the same day. More Troubles was the first example of the original series colorist Irv Kaplan's fondness for the color pink. So in this book, if you look through it, the authors herein and their sources claim that Irv Kaplan had a fondness for pink. Yeah. Gerald appears in the episode as a transporter operator. And here we have a quote from him. He says, I wanted to be an extra on the original show just for the fun of it. I wrote it into the animated episode and they did it. And then Kolov's ship is called the Divisor in the episode, but it is never referred to by name in the actual episode. It would be officially be known as the Erks Groth in the a DS9 episode Trials and Tribulations. Tribulations, sorry, not tribulations. Mm-hmm. Tribulations. As far as this disconnect between what Gerald has to say and what Irv Kaplan and the people who they interviewed for this book have to say, this is what I mean about how there are so many layers of lore, and it depends, and the story depends upon who you ask. And you could ask an actor, and and they might tell you something totally different. So it's problematic when you ask so many different people, because so many different people have different stories to tell, and it's great to tell them all.
Well, frankly, I find the colorblind thing's tough to believe anyway. I'm just telling you what Gerald said, because the guy's working for an animation studio, and why isn't everything miscolored? I mean, that happens in a lot of Filmation. Used to have a lot of animation mistakes and stuff like that, but I don't know. But that's what Gerald believes. So, but this book's thoroughly researched. So, and they probably went to Filmation again. I'm like Mark D, with C pointing that out, and I'm glad he did, because I haven't read that yet. I'm more inclined to believe that than the guy being colorblind and working on animation cells. But I don't know.
But the thing is that people get older and they tell tall tales. Some people, they go fishing, they catch guppies, and next thing you know, they've got a marlin on the wall.
Yeah. By the way, Gerald did also say he didn't like the name Glommer, but he had stuck with it. And he also talked about how
It's quite deliberate, isn't it? When you glom onto something,
yes,
that you would be a glommer. It's
but he didn't like it,
And who was it? Scuba Pete, who said that? Not Scuba Pete. I think it was Snortopoopus, who said that the Roadrunner leg movements were a little over the top.
Yeah, they were. One other thing about that, he did talk about, again, I guess you don't know how you can trust him or not, but he did say how Roddenberry promised that they would, in the next season, after the second season, do a sequel to Trouble with Tribbles. But then, of course, when he left the producing, and Fred Freiberger said to him, Star Trek is not a comedy. We're not doing that. So he ended up doing some other thing for that season. So
I've heard that too. I've heard that there was a lot of arguing going back and forth about just how much comedy should be injected. I haven't heard that. I shouldn't say I've heard that. I should just come right out and say I've read that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So there you go.
Not on the internet. I've read that in books with people who did fact checking, and there were editors involved and stuff like that. I've heard that as well, Clubby.
Yeah. Well, there you go. And then, like I said, so Gene, when it came time to do the animated, he said, let's do it. So, but it would have been in the third season if Roddenberry had been handling it, apparently.
Oh, look at 52 minutes past the hour.
Which one?
Elagabalus.
Let's see here. Great stream. Right now. You piqued my interest in TAS. I enjoyed being a passive observer and looking forward next week's review. Ambien is taking effect. Okay. So good night.
Can I just say to you right now, you are an outstanding human. I can't believe that even though this isn't your cup of tea, that you sat with us and you entertained the ideas herein and decided to give this iteration of Star Trek a chance. I think you're an outstanding human being. I hope you have a wonderful sleep, and I will see you next week. Thank you so much for listening in, and thank you for coming back to let us know that you appreciated what we said here, and now you're interested in actually watching it. You're a fabulous human. Thank you so much for your time. Go to sleep.
Elagabalus, have a good one. Good night. Thank you so much for being here. So did you have any more notes on more Tribbles?
No, that was just it. I was under the impression from the book that this person just really liked pink and sort of made it into a joke. So
who knows?
So who knows? But yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Maybe yeah. Gerald. Maybe someone told Gerald that, and he just, who knows? You never know. Anyway. But of course, again, it should be noted, it was great to hear, Stanley Adams doing the voice of Cyrano Jones returning for that. That was kind of nice. Cavantino, Calverman, Shea.
Hey, good evening, sir.
Always good to see you. Good to see you there. So, number one, I tell you what, for our final episode of the night, I will get your rating of More Tribbles, More Troubles. And then I will give mine. And then I'll ask our wonderful chat what theirs is. How about that?
I didn't put a rating in my notes. I've never done this before.
Oops. Okay, you are fired.
When I'm thinking about this episode, I'm thinking about how fun it is, and that Kirk does the Spock eye at the end of the episode. The pink Tribbles exploding from the colony body. It's so much. It's a cotton candy bubblegum world. Not a marshmallow world. I'm gonna go ahead and give this a solid B+. This is fun. I'm not afraid of the humor in Star Trek, and it was all right to revisit it. This was neither divine nor disgusting, and it was a little bit of fun. And I like Tribbles, as you all know. I have one. I have a real one. And they're impossible to get your hot little hands on. And mine purrs and it screams. You could put it in scream mode. And I love the little devils. I wish I had a pink one. And that's all I have to say.
There you go. Well, I'm gonna give it a B-. It was fun. It was an attempt to be, have a fun, lighthearted episode, and it was harmless. And again, I kind of, I love the Trouble with Tribbles. So see them sue anything, going back to that a little bit, and it was kind of fun. Again, they did what they could with it to try to have a lighthearted episode. So yeah, it was harmless, cute fun. So chat, please now if you would give us your review of More Troubles, my friend.
I love Doug. Doug does the nightmare, the nightmare grabbing of the face. No notes. Mark D with a C. Detention for Raquel.
Damn it.
And then Snortapoopus. No raspberries? Oh, Scuba Pete just dropped his. Oh, okay. D Bud Martin is first.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to. Oh, this thing keeps jumping on me. Sorry about that. All right, everyone.
It's okay.
D-Bud Martin, A-. Sure, Gerald steals a lot from his original Tribbles episode, but so what?
Yeah.
It has Tribbles. It has pink Tribbles. And again, cotton candy. Let's see here. Klingon, Cyrano, and ship-to-ship combat. And actually, you know what? I almost wanted to give it a little higher rating because I did love the trick Kirk pulled with the robot ships on the on the Klingon battle cruiser there. Yeah. So I should have even been nicer to it because it's got that. That's a pretty cool. I meant to mention that earlier. A pretty cool Kirk thing to do there. I like that. Yeah, so yeah, fun.
Great review, sir. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you, D Bud. Scuba Pete, A++++. Love the revisit to a fave TOS episode. DS9 visit superb too. Oh, yeah, I love it. Spock equals a safe Tribble is a safe Tribble is a contradiction in terms. Love seeing Cyrano again. Yeah, there you go. Fair enough. Good. It does call back a lot of good stuff. Snortapoopus Cuber, 1 of 2. B. They're cute and fuzzy, pink, fat, and still annoying. The tradition of burying captains in a pile of Tribbles continues, this time including the Klingon. And this time, and again, I love how they could just beam crap underneath each other's ships.
I wonder if Snortapoopus is a Klingon polar bear.
Maybe. I want to know what they would even call that.
He's a polar bear.
Don't you love how they could just beam crap on each other's ships whenever they want?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
And no shields up. Just everything.
To hell with it. Like, it was one thing to catch him off guard like Scotty did in Trouble with Tribbles, but yeah. I guess. Yeah. Oh, I love it. And it also said ISAR. But we've got Tribbles on the ship. Cuentro to the Kaylee and the corridors. Klingons in the quadrant. Yeah. Love it. Cruise Persia B+.
Whales in the quarter. Anyway, sorry.
That's all right. An interesting episode that was fun and which can be considered a partial inspiration for the season 2 episode of Farscape, Beware the Dog. You know, I did watch the show, but I don't really recall that one. But you've watched it recently, so maybe you.
No, I can't. I
don't recall it off the top of my head, but
which one is Beware of Dog? Chris, I just watched Farscape, and you know what? I actually love Farscape. I went in like super reserved and didn't want to get involved with this whole Muppet debacle. But I wound up at the end being sad that it was over. So if you could please tip me off at just one sentence and I'll remember because I've just recently watched it. And also Chris Persia, I love you.
Yeah, it's been a year since I watched it for my first time as well, so I don't recall it, but cool. Yeah. You could let us know.
Yeah.
Orange Feliciano, B+. Too many to count. This was a fun episode. DS9 could use a glommer. They could, yes. Yep. And let's see here. B from Phantom Outsider. Fun Trek is good Trek. Klingons engineered the glommer. They own that TM. Tribbles, like everyone else that loves Trek, want to sit in the Kirk's chair. That's one. It's been fine. Hey, yeah, Valiant Renegade, my friend. I've never seen you pop in here before. Great to see you, man. Always a pleasure, buddy. I'm honored to see you pop in, my friend. Let's see here. Let's see. I was trying to find the second part of
just do
Phantom. Oh, there we go. No, I think I can find it in this case here.
All right.
But they didn't do the follow-up. Turns out Glommer Poo is a fantastic fertilizer and can also recrystallize dilithium. Don't tell the Klingons. There you
go. Phantom Outsider. That's a great comment.
Doug 35 B-. Based on that, it filled in some lore about the Tribble War mentioned in DS9 as well. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Good comment, Doug.
Rod Thunderheart says, I'd like to, but I reserve judgment based on completely unaware of the animated series. Fair enough, my brother.
Well,
fair enough.
I'm glad. Bust your cherry here. Do it with us, Rod.
Fair enough, buddy. Gotcha. Not a problemo. Mark D with a C. B, 4 to 5 grains of Quintro triticale. That's definitely not to be confused with Quadro triticale. Trying a little too hard, like many sequels. Yeah, sequels are sequels. Sometimes they don't always work out.
Oh, Mark is Generation X. What Generation X is we reject sequels.
Yeah, I'm not a big sequel. There have been some great ones, but you don't need a lot of hands to have the fingers to count the great ones. Yeah. Trying a little too hard, like many sequels. Harmless, fun, with good jokes. Like Gerald told about how they inverted the what do you know what you get if you feed a tribble too much? He says a fat tribble. No, you get a lot of hungry little tribbles. That's from Trouble with Tribbles. Remember when making them get big instead? He said that was his intention to turn the joke around. Yep. But they let the glommers loose to eat poor fat tribbles. D. Kelly would not approve. Yeah, he wouldn't. That's true.
No, D would not have liked that at all.
No, he would love tribbles. They were real. Eric K, the great Eric K. Be nice. Excuse me. Be nice. Don't be nice around here. Nice. Be nice to bring back the tribbles. It was a nice, lighter episode for a change. Yeah. I would like to see Raquel wearing a tribble. Just, dude.
One unfed one.
Underfed.
So it wouldn't be big.
What is wrong with you?
I love you, Eric.
Oh, cool. Hey, Valiant Renegade, my brother. I'm always honored to see him, my friend. We have to talk one of these days, brother. Pat S. A++. I felt like a kid again watching this one. Also a fellow Louisianian, Pat S. Excuse me. Somewhat off topic, but too good. CLOBBY, he means Colby, the CLOBBY and Raquel. I laughed so hard tonight, Coach, on in EBN. Oh yeah, Echo Base Network. I love them. Said Nick got him to watch TOS again since since find the other one there. I'm sorry, I was distracted there, and I read horribly bad enough as it is. But he's got Nick to watch it. Cool. I love Coach Nick. Those guys are great. Let's see here. Since his childhood, he said seasons 1 and 2 were great, but season 3 was off the rails. He's lost at how strange it is. Yeah, well, we just reviewed.
It's corporate Trek. TOS season 3 is corporate Trek. So unfortunately, all the good people walked away from it because the corporation took over, and it was the third corporation to do that, and it was quite a violent affair, emotionally violent enough to get the 2 Genes and the DC to just walk away before the middle of the 3rd season.
And we reviewed it thoroughly. Yeah, I think so. I guess we did. And Iron Caster, what's up, buddy? Hey. Good to see you, bro. Let's see here, but I better see if we got any more ratings. I think we may all have all of our ratings. Number 1, let me see here. Oh no, here we go. Phoenix Argus, B+. The episode was really fun, and when it was bundled with Trials and Tribulations. Oh, yeah, okay, it was. I really enjoyed watching back-to-back with Trouble with Tribbles. Yes, that's true. They did a Tribble set or something at one point, I believe.
Yeah.
Here we go. Chris Persia answering you. We were talking about Farscape earlier. Where are the Dogs is the 14th episode of the 2nd season. Yeah. Shiana, did you say Shiana?
Yeah, it's Shiana.
Shiana brings on board a Vork, which hunts down parasite that consume all the food on board the ships. Only they're not cute like Tribbles, but evil. Okay, yes. I vaguely remember it, but I need to watch it.
I remember that. Yeah, okay. That's great. I love Farscape references. I love Farscape. It was good.
I just don't know it like I know Trek because I've only watched it one time. So.
If Haristopoli Christos.
Indeedishness. Let's see here. I think we're all caught up, and I do believe, if I could be mistaken, but I do believe we have all of our reviews, all of our ratings, rather, I should say. So there we go. What do you think? Are we done with our ratings, friends?
I think so.
Oh, they're talking about pink fur. Yeah, well, the pink fur, I'm thinking if I'm going to do the pink fur, I don't think I'm going to do the tribble. I think I may do the shore leave.
Yeah.
The shore leave is definitely the way to do the pink fur.
Oh, well, yeah, absolutely.
The pink fun fur, that's the way to get that done.
All for it. I'm all for it. Wow. Well, I tell you what a great crowd we've had tonight, and we got this done quicker than we did 4 episodes of the original series.
Yeah.
And 5 that we did last week to end it up there. So yeah. I hope we got everyone's rating there on that one. It's so great to see you here. I'm having so much fun. You guys are fantastic for showing up. Because again, I told Raquel this. I wasn't sure how many people would show up for this. It's not the original series. Not as many people watch a show, but we feel that this is Star Trek and it needs to be treated with that same respect. Rod and Mary created it, and we're gonna go. It won't take long. We're gonna do them all. And then, of course, jump on to the next plateau, which would be the original series, original crew films.
Yeah.
And TNG, DS9, Voy, and Int, all real Trek only.
Yeah, and everyone at home, you should realize too that we got through 5 tonight, and there are only 22. So we're going to burn through these very quickly. And we also had an extended opening sequence tonight, obviously, because when you're starting a new iteration of the IP, you definitely want to lay the groundwork to sort of explain the things that were going on around it. So, hopefully next week we can do 5 or 6. What's on deck for next week, Clobby? How many are we doing next week?
Well, I would leave that to you because you're the one that you do research. I just watch it. But I mean, I know you make notes and stuff, but 6 is fine. I guess we could do 6 and then see how that works out.
Yeah, I think 6 would be better because we won't have that opening sort of dialogue about the socio-historical context and the nature of the revival of this iteration or this IP, I should say. So in the absence of that, I think we'll have room to squeeze in one more. So I think we should do 6 next week, and I hope we're not plowing through them too quickly for those who love TAS.
No.
We're trying to strike a balance here for you folks at home, and I hope you're enjoying it.
Well, I hope you all are as well, because I certainly am. I just love hanging out. You all know I have the greatest first officer in the fleet. I have so much fun hanging out with Raquel. And it just is a wonderful added bonus to hang out with this great chat. You guys are the best. We have so much fun interacting with you. We hope you have a good time as well. Or anyone out there who might be just listening or just lurking, whatever it is, we love you. Justin Normie, hello there. Good to see you. Welcome. Thank you for popping in. We love it when anyone pops in.
Did you see this, Phoenix Argus? Raquel, I live in Australia, and mice, rats, and rabbits do a lot of damage to the flora and fauna farming. However, feral cats are a big problem in regards to the fauna, often killing smaller marsupials. Yeah, it is. It's such a huge connection. Hey, when you watch one of these population explosions, it makes you think about all the terrible things that happen in Australia. It makes me so sad. Invasive species are just terrible to ecosystems, and certainly Australia's is worth preserving. What a beautiful country you come from, Phoenix Argus. You must be very proud.
Yeah, absolutely. And we appreciate you. We really appreciate you. Well, everyone joining us, no matter what time of day or night it is. You're all just fantastic, and you make this a lot of fun for us. We all love Star Trek here. Good.
Boss man, D. Bud Martin has made a very good suggestion. At 10 minutes past the hour, he says, yes, 5, 6, 5, 6 would complete TAS in 4 weeks. Yeah, I think we should.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Yeah.
That's a pretty good recipe, D. Bud Martin. I'm going to write that down. So
like I was saying, we can knock them out in 4 weeks. And whereas it took us 20 to do the original series.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, absolutely.
I think that is a great prescription, D. Bud Martin. Thank you so much, and I think we're going to do that. Yeah. I think it's just the perfect amount of time to engage with you and to engage with the material. As long as we're just sticking to that summary and we're not adding to it, and we'll do that next week.
So it'll be 6 next week, and then there you go.
Yeah. Thank you so much, D. Bud Martin.
Thank you, D. Bud. Appreciate you, sir. Let's see here. So, well, let's see. I think we're about ready to wrap it up, and I will make just a quick show note, everyone, before we do our goodbyes, because we love to talk to everyone. Let's see here again. Monday night, Mark C. Comics Talk. Oops, I had a bit of a, because that's the name of our Monday night comic book show, named after our dear departed great friend, the great Mark C. It is going to be part 2, or the second wave of the CLOBBERIN Times Mark C. Comics Creator Hall of Fame. I named it after the great Mark C. because he was a fan who loved comics, and we've done a lot of comics shows together, and we miss him, so it'll always be named after him. This is the second wave. A couple months back, Minimus and I inducted the first 10, and of course, so the question is, who will the second 10? Who will the next 10 comic book legends be? Comic book creators that will make it. And there, you could look at this picture, and some could guess, some might not, but we will reveal them all Monday night, and I'm looking forward to that because, well, I love geeking out on comics, and I had a lot of fun doing it the last time. So that will be 8 p.m. Central Standard Time on the Monday night. So appreciate that. Appreciate you all here. And again, here's the book that we were referencing in case any of you are interested in getting that. I have a copy of. I'm gonna start kind of reading it a little bit more this week, of course, and it was Raquel's great recommendation. Mark D with the C has it as well. And it's Star Trek, the official guide to the animated series that we are referencing for this review of the animated series.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And again, let's see here. I'm going to start saying some thank yous to all these wonderful people. Raquel, I guess we better get on that.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Please excuse me, Captain. D. Bud Martin says season 2 was the last 6, so it's why I thought 5656 would be best. Yes, indeed, D. Bud Martin. Yeah, this is great, and we're going to run with that. And that's an excellent suggestion. We weren't really sure how this book was going to work being read out loud, because of course, when you write things, you write them for the eyes. You don't write them for the ear. And I try and do my best to make them sound like they're written for the ear. And also, you're not sure about the coverage, how the coverage is going to happen. So yeah, that 5656, I think that's the perfect prescription for getting us through these 22 episodes. Thank you so much, D. Bud Martin.
Indeed, we appreciate that. By the way, Phantom, I'll reveal it Monday night, but these characters are clues, but they're not exactly what you think. You could probably pick most of them. I have some friends that could, but quite frankly, it would not be fair. If I did a contest, I don't know if anyone could win it, but me and like a few people that are actual historians is pretty. Anyway, but I know you probably could, Phantom.
You're getting some serious harassment from Eric K. I beg your pardon, Clubby. Says,
what I do now?
Another Hall of Fame where Clubby says these people are all great, but they only learn from Stan Lee.
There is. It's funny how you mentioned that name that won't be in. Sorry, I'm just kidding. Yet. I might put Stan in there, but spoiler alert, not this time, because he's being punished. That gets me in trouble when you beat up on Stan. They don't like it. But hey, and by the way, I want you to know it is a long and grueling process to narrow that down to 10 every time. The voters, we argue, we sit at a table, we go over it for years and days and months, and the votes have to tally up all the votes.
He's being facetious, folks.
Yes, I'm the only voter. So. Nobody else gets a vote. Not even Minimus, who does the show with me. He doesn't get a vote either. Only me. Oh, boy. Anyway, let's see. The great Steve Mitchell, we did have to leave, but whether you're still here or not, you get a shout out because we love you. I wonder what happened to Thoth. I hope he's okay. I think he was on the show last night, but we always miss him when he's not here.
Yeah, TMF hasn't been around. And you know who's also missing is Dr. Hercumonkey.
I hadn't seen him in a while. Maybe they don't like me anymore, but I wouldn't blame him if you guys don't like me. It's okay. Ash was missing.
Ash is also missing.
You're in trouble, young man.
Yes.
Anyway, Steve Mitchum, love you blow out there.
Love you,
Shout
Steve.
out to
Please
you.
kiss Maddie for us, okay? We love her. She's just so cute, and I love that you chose being a father over attending with us tonight because you know Dad first, and she is just a precious, exquisite little girl. She's just so wonderful. So I hope you enjoyed your time with her.
Indeed, buddy. Phantom Outsider, my brother. Appreciate you being here, buddy.
Great comments tonight. Enjoyed your company so much. Thank you for spending time with us.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. The Felicianos, as in Raymond and better half Sandra. I think Sandra had to run, but hail to you both. Thank you for
wonderful
being here,
comments tonight. And for all of you out there, please make sure that you look in the comment section and the information on this show, on this channel, because Raymond Feliciano has a new book. He has a second book now, and go ahead and click on that, and please support.
Oh yeah, let me get the link.
I think Eric has you covered.
Oh, you got the link there, Eric? Because I can't. I mean, look, I'm putting Eric to work. But anyway,
no. Oh, maybe he put me up. Well, because Eric's the fastest gun in the West. He's got it up and and on the board before you can even think of it. I think he can read our minds. I think he puts his hands up like Spock, and he can.
Well, there are links in my description below, also. By the way.
Oh, good.
They're all there, including how to contact me. I had to fix that link. Somebody was trying to contact me on my Baxter Building basement page, and I had to fix that one. But of course, this is Raymond's link. I will put it unless he already put it.
Oh, boss! Everyone in the chat. Well, not everyone, but it's starting to roll in now. Pat said LT is having his anniversary day.
Yeah, I saw that.
Wife tonight. That's great. Can I just take a second to just stop the whole show and say happy anniversary to LT? We love you, Lord Thoth. You are a fantastic member of this community. You're so smart and fun to be around and fun to be with. I hope you have a wonderful anniversary with your beautiful wife, and you have many more years together and lots of fun. Take care.
Mark D asked the question, it's Lord Thoth's anniversary. Is that not a valid reason for missing Saturday Star Trek? No. The answer is no. And Lord Thoth, I'm very cross with you, and you are fired, sir. No, of course it is. We love Thoth around here, and happy anniversary to the Thoths.
Yeah.
We love you. And we have a visit from another beautiful lady. We're surrounded by beautiful ladies tonight, of course. Bionic Belly Button.
Bionic Belly Button. You're here.
My goodness.
I haven't seen you in so long.
Oh.
I love you. Beautiful lady.
You are. It's so wonderful to see you. I hope we can get you to come back on again soon. Love you, Bionic Belly Button. We really, really appreciate you. What she said. Great to see you. There's, of course, that link there for our great buddy Raymond.
Yes.
Let's see here. And again, like I say, all of the links are in. I have lots of links to some great. Oh my God! I messed up.
What?
Nothing. I was trying to find your link and I can't find it.
Oh, well, that's okay because Eric threw it up there.
Oh, he didn't? He's put yours in there?
Yeah, and we're all in the descriptions below. Raymond's there. I'm there. I write science fiction short stories. Of course, you guys know I'm a communications and technology scholar, so I write lots of nonfiction. But you should know that I write fiction too. I write short stories, and they're a little bit like Edgar Allan Poe and a little bit like The Twilight Zone. And they're cheap as dirt. You can get them on Amazon for any device, or you can also get them on your Kindle device.
Did he put yours up there?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Eric is he's the fastest gun in the West.
Well,
you don't want to draw with him.
Okay, I messed mine up. I had it and I ruined it up. I'll have to get it. I'll have to fix it later. Yeah. I'm so sorry about that.
The Cal L?
Cal L
48 just popped in?
148.
Is it 148? Okay.
Is it? No, Cal L 48. I'm an idiot.
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
There you go. Good to see you. Good to see you. Let's see here. We'll continue. Snortapoopas Cuba. Thank you for being here, my buddy. We appreciate you.
Snortapoopas Cuba.
Oh my goodness. Janet from Another Planet was here again. Like I said, we shout whether you're still here or not. You get a shout out because we love you. All of you. Janet, thank you so much. The Nerd Porio Life Form.
Yes. Thank you so much for coming by.
Link to that channel is below. Please go give them a sub there. I think they may have had to leave, but Dadman Walking 55 and Mrs. Dadman Walking.
That was so cool that they both came. And she's as smart as a whip, and he is a great conversationalist together. And they're so they had such different ratings, and they're both so articulate. I enjoyed you guys' company so much. I hope you'll be back next week, and I hope your lovely wife will be with you, because she was just terrific tonight.
Indeed, and we appreciate you. The great Chris Persia and the great Eric K. Yeah. I don't know what they're the two greatest wrenches out there. Both you guys, they deserve individual shout outs. So Chris Persia, brother, I cannot thank you enough for being here all the time, sure. But you're a great friend to us. We appreciate you. And Eric K., you too, brother. Man, we always appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much for all you do. He had to run out, but my good new buddy, J-Man.
Yeah.
Was here. J-Man, shout out, buddy.
Always nice to see you.
Indeed. And they call him Scuba Pete. Scuba Pete!
I love you. And you were hysterical tonight. It's absolutely ridiculously hysterical. And you know how much I love you.
And you know, Belly Button is right. She wants you to make cosplay videos when you're saying.
Oh, well, you know, I would actually be interested in doing that. I did a whole bunch of it when I was first on Orville Nation. They interviewed me a couple of times, maybe 2 or 3 times. So I thought maybe people were tired of that, but that is something that I will definitely consider, Bionic Belly Button. I love your feedback. Thank you. And I'm so excited that you're here. You know how much I love you.
Toxic Man Flu. We understand that. But it's good to see you, though. Thank you.
Baby, what are you doing here? You're late. Where have you been?
Arizona and spending time with the granddaughter. Sorry to miss. Hey, very cool to see you pop in, my friend. We appreciate you.
Oh, and congratulations on the new granddaughter. And Mrs. TMF, that we said congratulations to her as well, and also to your son or your daughter who
absolutely
had the child. So TMF, so good to see you, and you've been missed around here, you hilarious man.
Indeed. Thank you. D-Bud Martin, thank you, brother. Always appreciate you, bud. Good to see you, man. Hope you'll hang tonight. I hope you'll hang with me for come over and join me for the comic show, man. It's gonna be fun. Liger Fan had to run, but thank you, Liger Fan. Appreciate you. The great Mark D with a C, one of the greatest pals ever, and a great friend of the show.
He really is the best. We love you, Mark.
Indeed, man. You're the man, buddy. Phoenix Argus, we appreciate you for being here tonight. Thank you so much.
Great comments as usual, Phoenix Argus. Just absolutely love your company. You know I do. So I'll see you next week, and so cool to see you.
Ilaga Bus, thank you. Being here as always. Had to run, but
sleep.
Had to run, and I don't know, or maybe listening. I don't know, but good. Thank you. Appreciate you. Steve Ernest, thank you.
Yes, Stephen Ernest was here as well. It was so good to see you.
Indeed. Captain Cockney Spock, we appreciate you joining us. Always good to see you, my friend.
Yes, Captain.
Brightest Day was here earlier. Brightest Day, my brother. No evil shall escape a sight. Good to see you.
And congratulations, Brightest Day.
No, and I mean no. Saturday Night Star Trek or any other Clobbering Time episode would be complete without the great Pat S., my brother.
Yes, Pat. Love you so much, and you were hysterical tonight.
My old bud, your Muslim uncle, popped in earlier. Don't know if you're still there, bud, but we get the shout out either way. Thank you. Good to see you.
Yeah, and thank you for popping into the chat and letting us know that you were watching.
One of my greatest friends that I've ever, in real life friend that I've known for nearly 30 years. One of my best buddies ever. He popped in. I don't know if he's in or out right now, but I love you, buddy. Ace Cast Iron, man.
Yeah, I love Ace
Appreciate
Cast
you,
Iron.
buddy. Yes.
And I miss, I don't know if it's because you don't like TAS or if it's not your cup of tea or perhaps you were busy, but I do have to tell you that I miss your extremely nerdy. I mean, they're not geeky. Those are totally nerdy ratings that you give, and I miss them. So hope you are well, my friend.
Miss you, buddy. See you when you get back, man. Robert popped in. I'm not sure if I know Robert, but I want to thank you for popping in. You get the shout out. Just a longtime friend of the show, and I mean in the old days, for the old days of my BTR days, Just Joe 47, aka the great Jobber, brother. Always appreciate you. Doug 35, thank you for hanging with us and your participation. We appreciate you.
Yep.
Darren M popped in earlier. Darren M, thank you for being here.
Lots of good comments there as well.
The wonderful, the beautiful, the magnificent Katie Carr popped in earlier. We love you, Katie.
I hope school is going well, and I hope you're studying your little patootie off. Get those high grades. I know you were on the dean's list, so we're very proud of you, and thank you so much for stopping in, and we miss you.
Agent Decibel, thank you for popping in. JT Kirk, I hope you feel better, my friend. We love seeing you here, buddy. We appreciate you very much.
I don't like hearing that you're not feeling well, so please rest up and keep us posted. I hope you're feeling better tomorrow.
Indeed, indeed. Our extraordinary friend, the great Rod Thunderheart. Hey, buddy.
Yeah, Rod Thunderheart.
Hope you're doing well. It was fantastic to see you, Rod.
Yeah.
Parrot Head, always a cool buddy. We appreciate you. We know you stopped by earlier, Parrot Head. My buddy JD Lewis popped in for a minute there, and I appreciate you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Apollome's Minion and
Popper.
Thank you so much, my dear. Always a pleasure. Bruce Lombardo, old chap. Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you.
Thank you for popping in, my friend. I always kind of stumble on this one a little bit. Cavatinho Kevler-Menche.
It's a mouthful.
I like it, though. I like it. Thank you for popping in. Appreciate it.
Cubed.
The great, and another fellow Louisianan, the great Valiant Renegade. Hey, buddy. Honor to have you pop in, my friend.
Yes.
I hope you're doing great tonight, man. My good buddy Iron Caster, and again, of course, there's a link to his channel below, and there's also a link to Valiant Renegade. Just started the channel. There's a link to his and below. I do believe I have that link in there. If not, please search him out there. I think I put the link down there, though, buddy.
Congratulations, one and all.
But anyway, yes, indeed. Justin Normie, thank you for popping in. Start there at the last moment there. You popped in. Thank you. I think we said all of our, I think we got everybody, except we should mention her again because I love her and she's so beautiful and so cool. The wonderful bionic belly button. We love seeing you pop in.
It's so good to have you here. I love you so much. It's so good to see you. Also, I need to say Eric K before he leaves. He says he thought that he was toxic enough that he could make up for TMF being missing. You know what? Almost, babe. Almost.
Almost.
But we love it. We love it, Eric K. We love it. And we love you. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Yes, indeed. We didn't miss anybody. Love you all. Really, really appreciate you. This has just been always such a fantastic time. And we will be here, of course, Monday night again. I'll be here with my Monday Night Mark C Comics Talk, 8 p.m. Central, for the second wave of the Mark C Comics Creator Hall of Fame. Wednesday night, Open Geek Silliness. Thursday again with the Global Geek Gang, 1 p.m. Central. And then back here next week, reviewing 6 episodes of Star Trek, the animated series. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here tonight. Now, the icing on the cake, the beginning, and this wonderful outro, and now intro and outro, that my wonderful first officer, the greatest first officer in the fleet. I love you, Raquel. You are the best. You're the greatest. She made this, folks. Thank you, and a shout out to Mark D for helping. Mark D with the C for helping us with it. Good night, everyone, and enjoy this wonderful theme and outro. This will get you in a Trek mood if anything ever will.